Hello, my people. It's Dahlia.
And Nicole.
And this is Quiche My Ass. Thank you guys so much for listening to another week of Quiche My Ass. We are super excited. Nicole personally doesn't even know this guest. We've known pretty much all of our guests coming onto the show. I didn't know maybe one or two, but like I'm a huge extrovert, so I'm like totally okay with new people. But like Nicole absolutely doesn't even know who this guest is. So how do you feel, Nicole?
I'm excited. First of all, I love his shirt, so that's a plus. We have a lot of mutual friends. I mean, we know Nick, Ajish. We all work in the industry, so I think it's going to be great.
That's what it's all about, is getting to know people, and it's a small world. So we have Sakari here, everyone.
Check 212. What's going on?
So your real name's Sakari.
100% Sakari, yes.
Sakari, yeah. It was like very hard for me to because like I've been around names that like not many people have, but like your name like literally sticks out just like mine. So I'm like, oh shit, I got a name that I have to actually remember. It's not like
So Sakari, where are you from? Tell us about yourself. Introduce yourself.
What's going on? What's going on, everybody? What's going on? So my name is Sakari. I'm 26 years old. I'm from Long Island, New York. And I am chef and owner of Noble Promise. So my name, Sakari, in Swahili actually means Noble Promise, which means you have a promise in future.
Beautiful. Right? I love that.
You have a promise in future and we keep to our words. So it's a production company. It's a restaurant pop-up. It's a concept that I've been working on, still working on, just working on it every single day. But I've been in the industry for about the past 11 years cooking. Worked at some of the best restaurants in the world. Started off at McDonald's.
Wow. No, like I love that. I feel like that's needed.
16. I think I was 15, turning 16. I got hired on like National Hiring Day. They like as soon as I came in, it was sick. As soon as I came in in a suit, and they were like, "This guy came to McDonald's in a suit."
Which McDonald's?
It was in Long Island.
Long Island.
Yeah, it was in Farmingdale.
Okay.
Right, so I came in with the suit, sat down, and they were like, "This guy's hired. Like nobody comes in with the suit." I didn't know. I was like, "It's National Hiring Day. Like you come into your interview, nobody would hire me because I was too young."
What is National Hiring Day? Where you walk into any job?
They commercialized it, so it was a commercial, and they would say, "Hey, come in, like
for
open
McDonald's.
call for McDonald's, like an open call, basically." So I went to, every other place I could think of, right? So like sneakers, anything.
You pulled a Step Brothers.
That's a Step. What's that mean? Step Brothers.
Like in Step Brothers, when they went to go do an interview, like they wore suits, and they went to go work at like a sports store.
Oh, I tried everything. I was trying to do anything that because when you're young like that, you just want to get free stuff. Yeah. So it was like, all right, I just want to work at Foot Locker so I get a discount on sneakers. Or I want to work at a clothing store so I get a discount on
I worked at Finish Line.
Right, and you're like, okay,
fired,
this is also. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. But so the only place that would hire me was McDonald's. Started out there, cashier. They taught me a lot about customer service, about having a smile on your face, a lot of the protocols, and it made me realize, I guess, about the hospitality industry. Was a grill cook there, did all those things, whatever. And then I was working 2 jobs. So I worked at a bagel shop, and I worked at McDonald's. So I work at a bagel shop in the morning, and then I would work at night at McDonald's.
I love Long Island bagels, by the way.
They're amazing.
They're so
good. Yeah.
Is that the same place Rebecca said she had worked?
No, but our previous guest, she literally just said she worked at a bagel shop too. And
it's a thing.
Long Island.
It's a thing. Yeah, they're like super popular over there. And they used to make them like 4:00 in the morning. Like they're like super fresh. So you smell them, you walk in, you're like, oh my god, this is amazing. So it was cool. I was an outsider because everybody there. Family or related, and they worked in the city before, so they were like beasts, and I'm just like a little 16-year-old kid just trying to make some money and whatever the case is. So I did 2 jobs, and then I worked at a catering hall for my internship, and then I was also a server.
Where did you go to school?
So I went to school at Delhi, SUNY Delhi.
Nice.
Which is upstate, and they have a really good program there, a culinary program. But you have...
What is it?
SUNY Delhi. So State University of New York at Delhi, upstate, about 4 hours away. And what was cool about that school was that you'll meet a lot of different people. So you'll have people from the city that just have no idea what they want to do, and they just come from like a regular major. Then you'll have a lot of technology people, nurses, and then you also have culinary students. And we're all mixed together. So you got to...
Oh, that's nice. I feel like that's like good for a work environment.
Exactly.
You, like,
real
know
life.
That there's other life out there.
Yeah, exactly. I have friends now that are in the construction industry. I have friends in different industries now that like will be able to help each other out. And just work on your people skills and business skills.
Need construction for a restaurant.
Right? Like there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that you don't think
that.
about. Right, exactly. So I felt like I I gained a lot going to that school versus going like a CIA or something that might have been more expensive, and you only know, I guess, the culinary world. Versus I learned a lot about people skills and different industries and just how important people are. So that was
I went to
awesome.
community college for my culinary degree, so it's the
Okay,
same
cool.
like.
Yeah, you're like, okay, like, where are
You-
you from? Okay, cool. And you get to meet all these different
Yeah,
people.
you work with. It's not just like I applied to CIA and also Johnson and Wales, and I got accepted to both. But
Super
it's
cool.
like I can't afford it.
Right, exactly.
Not everyone can afford
Yeah,
it.
I was
Exactly.
lucky enough to pull out loans from
Right.
the government,
And that's a reality. That's the thing.
which is horrible too because I'm still paying it.
That's a reality. So like SUNY Delhi was cheaper, and I wanted to go to Johnson and Wales. I thought that was the move to go. And then I sit down with my counselor. He's from Long Island, and he's like, "You're not going anywhere." I was like, what do you mean? He's like, "You're staying right here." He's like, "If you go to one of these places, you're just gonna be another number." He's like, "I'll take care of you." And I stayed, and he took care of me. I was student chef of the year. I was on the hot foods team.
Oh,
I
nice.
traveled. They introduced me to Michelin star food because before growing up where I'm from, we don't know anything about that, right? We know Red Lobster, we know
Yeah,
McDonald's,
Applebee's, McDonald's.
We're like, this is the
Outback.
spot.
But I
Outback,
also
Ruth
think
Chris.
that's the generation we did grow up in, where like that's where like the nice restaurants quotation marks are around. Like Cheesecake Factory was like a
Cheesecake
pleasure
Factory,
to
Cheesecake,
go.
Ruth
yeah.
Chris for sure.
Yeah,
Is that
Where,
that
what
was
you
the
like-
said?
spot.
Where
yeah.
like now I could see the younger generations coming up and they're like, I want to go
I
eat
wanna
at
go
a nice
some
restaurant.
authentic, yeah.
You know, well, I
Mhm.
think Anthony Bourdain showed us like this is what you should
We're
be
developed.
doing.
Yeah, we're developed now.
Yeah, like we like noticed that
Yeah.
like this isn't good food.
Yeah, but we're developed here. We're all in New York City. The people who are still in Long Island or for me, Maryland.
there are people
it's-
in Long Island that thrive to get good food still. And I wouldn't say all.
yeah,
I wouldn't
yeah,
say
yeah,
all.
yeah. Not
Just
a majority,
like,
but yes.
I met somebody from Maine recently where like they thrive for good food, but they're like when I stayed in exactly the same town they were at in Maine, like there was nothing to eat. So I was like, how do those people like food? You know
Right,
what I
right,
mean?
right,
Like,
right,
what do
exactly.
you mean? So I don't know. I think it's a generation thing when it comes to these. We don't care about paying for food anymore. Like our generation orders out or like goes out to eat. Where like
Yeah.
I think our parents were a little bit more reserved with spending money on food.
Right.
I don't know if your family was like that.
No, they
but,
were. It's. I think we're starting to learn the value of getting good food.
Yeah,
Like
we're
people
not getting
start to.
half-priced apps anymore.
Right. No. Yeah. We do still. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
we still like a high
$1
price.
Yeah.
We
oysters.
love 4 for 4 from Wendy's or something to make it stretch for sure.
I gotta
But
say, this is embarrassing, but yesterday we got off work early, and
Mm-hmm.
Nick and I were like, "Where are we gonna go? Let's go for a drink." And we went to the Sheraton.
Who
That's
is
awesome.
this Sheraton? It looks like you two are going
I was
upstairs afterwards.
I was like, we could probably get the hotel room for like 120 a night and deal with like have the indoor pool and everything.
That's sick.
But that's not something we would ever do in New York.
I
That's
can't believe you just
living in-
shared that you went to the Sheraton.
I know, but it looks like a castle. It's like
I
this
bet it was
huge,
fun, though.
beautiful place. It was fun. We're
Yeah,
like,
we had
wow,
a fun time.
if we got stuck here, we could all split a room for
Why not?
120 a night.
yeah.
Like
That's so
Why not?
funny.
Yeah.
But
sounds like a fun time.
it's funny. Like if you're in New York, you would never think about that. But
Right.
where I come from, it's like I don't know how to describe it. I'm like, whatever. Let's go to the Sheraton.
Let's go to the
have
Sheraton,
fun.
yeah.
It's- I
Like,
don't know. It's so strange.
I agree. So like I'll give you an example. So my family's from North Carolina, right? And
Oh,
like
okay.
so being from New York, obviously things are open all the time, whatever the case is. I go travel to North Carolina like every summer. And when I go down there, people go out and going out for them is hanging out at Walmart. Like that's
Or
and
the mall?
Applebee's or Applebee's. Yeah. Like that's they're
Yeah.
hanging out.
I know
So it's like
exactly what you're
we're
saying.
all going to Walmart. Everybody's late night in the that's the only thing that's open. So everybody's
That's
at
so
Applebee's.
crazy.
You know what I mean? That's
No,
their
the Applebee's
Sheraton
makes
to them.
sense.
Yeah, it's their
Applebee's
Sheraton.
makes sense. Walmart, I don't know, but I recently like talked to a guy that like grew up somewhere in Jersey where like there's not much going on.
Yeah.
And he was like, yo, like the 7-Eleven is popping at 11:30 at night, and I was like, the
Right.
7-Eleven is popping
Right,
at
right.
11:30.
You're
at
like,
night?
what?
We're
What
like,
does this mean? Yeah.
we used to finish work at 1:00. We need to
Mm-hmm.
find the next bar that's open. We need to go out, and now we're done at like 9:00. And me and
Well-
Nicole are like, we're going home.
That's amazing.
I went to
Going
some
home.
random
That's
Whole
amazing.
Foods yesterday in New Jersey because the Holland Tunnel traffic was really bad. So I'm like, I'm just going to go to Whole Foods. And there were like 12 kids hanging outside of Whole Foods. I'm like, what are you guys
They're
doing?
chilling.
Were you
They're
a
just
mall
chilling.
rat?
They're,
A mall
they're staying
rat's
out
a
of trouble.
thing.
Yeah,
When
I
you
used to
were
do
a
that.
mall
I was a
rat,
mall.
everyone was
Yeah.
a
If
mall
you're from
rat, I
Long
think.
Island, you were a mall rat. 100%.
Well,
That's what I
anyways,
used to
let's
do.
get back to where we were. We're talking
For
about
sure.
the past, which is great. It's important. But
100%.
I guess we want to
So
hear.
where was your first? So you weren't introduced to Michelin star restaurants, but then when were you introduced, and how did you get into it?
Right. So through joining different clubs at school, there was this one club called Escoffier Club, and they actually pay for your trip to go to a Michelin star restaurant in the city
To eat?
to eat,
Wow.
which was awesome, right? So you be part of this club,
What?
which
That
is
is-
sick.
And this is college.
This is college.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is college. So I had no idea what a
this
Michelin
is
star
like 19-year-old
was.
Sakari?
Yeah, 19-year-old Sakari had no idea what this was. You know what I mean? And we go travel down, and we go to Lincoln Restaurant, which had one Michelin star at the time. And they just,
Do they still have one?
I'm not sure, but they
Where is Lincoln Restaurant?
The Lincoln
Lincoln
Theater
Center,
one.
Lincoln, like right across from
Oh,
the around
The
okay.
there.
beautiful
Right.
one that you could see
Yeah.
when you're driving by. It's just an open kitchen,
Exactly.
open dining room.
Yeah,
I've never
exactly.
been, but
I
it
pass
was
by it all the time.
it was a sick place, very beautiful. And what was awesome about that was that a lot of the opening team from Lincoln was actually from Per Se. So they had like a very
nice.
right. So they had a very high standard. They I'm not gonna say only had one star, but they had one star, but they were pushing for more, and they pushed for really good
Yeah.
service, really good food. So I get there, everything was amazing, and this was the first time I went to somewhere. I was like, oh my god, everything is incredible.
like
Like back to back,
service,
yeah, back
like
to back.
everything.
I was like, they pushed my chair in. I was like, they opened the chair for me. Like what? It was just
But isn't that crazy? Because in culinary school, you don't really think about that. You think of perfect food. You
Right,
don't think about
exactly.
the perfect service. And once you actually go out and
go
like
out,
it,
and that's why it's so important.
experience it, you're like,
Yeah.
wow, like
they're like, whoa,
yeah.
it's so important. So I went there, blew my mind. I was like, what am I doing? So then I started to get more into Michelin star restaurants, started eating at different Michelin star restaurants. And that's how I was able to work at Maria after graduating school.
ooh, I've never
wanna
eaten at
go
Maria,
there
but I want to go so bad.
You never eaten? Wow. So
Where did you work? Like on the line? Like where?
at Maria, everywhere.
Were you
Oh,
making
yeah?
the pastas?
Yeah, making the pastas. I did,
Oh.
Me and Nicole are like,
crudo, everywhere. I was there for like 2 years. It was an amazing
Wow.
experience. The way that I was able to get the job was by eating there. I ate there, talked to the captain,
with
talked to
this
the server.
club part of the school?
No.
Oh, okay,
It was
you
just
went
me
on
and my
your own.
friend. Me and my friend. We downed a bottle of wine before across from the park, whatever the case is. We got off of work. Like we went there. We're like, we're gonna go eat some good food, and we're just talking about culinary school and things like that. And they're like, yeah, we're always looking for people. Gave me the card.
Always looking
Months-
for people.
the-
Not them, just in general.
Just the
Everybody wants to-
industry.
yeah.
It's always a high turnover rate. It's always,
Yeah.
So it's just about who you know, right? In those conversations and things like that. So we had that. Eventually came in. They liked my style. They liked clean, whatever the case
Did
is.
they have a star at that point too?
They had 2 stars.
They had 2 stars.
They had
okay,
2
that's-
stars. It was the only Italian restaurant in North America with 2 Michelin stars, which was cool. And I was the new kid on the block. You know what I mean? Coming from Long Island, I traveled from Long Island every day, and everybody there had a lot more experience. Maybe they worked at Danielle, maybe they worked at E&P, maybe they worked at different
Yeah.
Michelin star restaurants, whatever. And I was
The
like the
alum
new guy.
there must be insane. The different kinds of people.
It was
there.
You meet so many different people, but it was. I mean, I'm still friends with some of those people today.
Oh, that's nice.
And everybody with Italian, in my opinion, with Italian style kitchens, it's a lot more laid back. I mean, it had a French structure, but it was more family oriented, if that's what I'm trying to say.
That's nice.
It was very family oriented, so I learned a lot. They were very open to giving you different positions, and there's no commis in that kitchen. You know what I mean?
Oh,
so
you do your own.
you
Everybody
you
does
do
their own.
your own stuff, and it's
You
like
peel your
400
garlic.
covers. Yeah, you peeling
You
your
peel
garlic.
your onions.
Yeah, they have
you
a prep.
Make your stock.
You make your stock. They have a stock person, and they have a prep team that helps with little things.
Yeah.
In the morning, but for the most part, you're in charge of your station, and this is basically my first professional Michelin star kitchen. It's a 2 Michelin star restaurant right out of college, and just starting on the line, not a commis. So it was intense. It was crazy. We're doing 400 covers. We have lunch, dinner. It was insane.
400 covers a day or 400 for dinner?
So 400 covers a day.
Okay.
Which is
On
still
average.
insane 'cause it's
Right.
not
On
that
average,
big of a restaurant.
but then-
like it's big.
It's big, yeah.
But
yeah,
it's not like.
I want to go
Super.
to Maria.
Me too. We
yeah,
should go.
you should
We
go.
should.
You
I
should
heard
go.
people
100%.
go. They have such an amazing experience, and they don't pay as much as you would for like a big name.
Right.
But it's still the best experience they've ever had.
Yeah, it's still great
Like
service,
that's
great
why
food.
I actually really want to go.
Yeah.
And
It's-
I really do like
it's
good
a-
pasta.
For me, I've been there like I think 3, 4, maybe 5 times, and I don't go back to a lot of restaurants. I try one restaurant and I might just move on.
We could just
Yeah.
go with you.
Oh yeah, just come in. Hey, they still know me. I mean, it's been years since I've worked there. And the last time I went there, they welcomed me. They let me go in the kitchen. I still know
Aw,
people over there.
that's
Like it's a
nice.
very family oriented, very loving environment. So, after that, I was still working at Marais, and then I wanted to for me, just being a competitive person I am, I wanted to be the best. And what the best restaurant was 11 Madison Park. So at the time, it was number 4 in the world, and I just kept wanting to try to work there. So the executive chef, Jared Gadbois, amazing chef, I had a conversation with him. I said, hey, listen, I want to work at 11 Mass Park. He's like, oh, I can help you, but, it was a good conversation, but I ended up doing it on my own. So I literally tried to contact anyone I knew. I cold called. I DM'd on Instagram every person that was associated with EMP. I DM'd Daniel Hume. a long paragraph, a couple of times.
Wow.
If Daniel Hume came into Maria, I asked the server, hey, can you talk to Daniel Hume? I want to work there. And he was like, absolutely not. That's totally against everything we believe in. Like, what is wrong with you?
Why would they want to let you go? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was just like, no way. So I tried everything. And then eventually, Vinny Chinto, who was working at the Nomad, he responded to me, and he was actually from, the way I did it was.
Have I met Vinny?
I feel like it sounds like right when you said that, I was like,
Vinny
Nick.
Also, yeah,
I feel like Nick
awesome,
has something to do with that.
Awesome dude.
Yeah.
And when you're doing these cold calls, I say this to bring value to everybody that's listening. When you're doing these cold calls, if you want to work somewhere, you can't just hit them up and asking for something. You kind of have to put some type of buffer. Yeah, you have to, have some type of buffer or something, So when I hit up Vinny, I was like, hey man, you're from Massapequa. I'm from Farmingdale,
Oh, you brought the Long Island.
I was like,
connection.
yeah,
You're
100%. I was like, our teams, we used to rival, and I was like, but it's very, like, I see that you're working at the Nomad, hey, I worked at Maria for 2 years, I'm really looking to get in, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He's like, yeah, man, here's Chef Brian Lockwood's email him over. And I was like, okay. So for those who don't know, Brian Lockwood
it's a name.
It's a name. It's an amazing chef. He's one of the best chefs I've ever worked for. He the way he carries himself, he used to work for Thomas Keller. He did the Bocuse d'Or tryouts. Like he's an amazing chef, amazing person. And yeah, so I emailed him, went in for it. Eventually, followed up. Long story short, I finally get there after months of trying. One time I even came in there unannounced, and all I hear is "we," and I go in there and I give someone my resume. Still have and then I have no response. I give them my resume. They're like, "Okay, we'll be in contact." No response. So after months and months trying, finally get in. And working at the best restaurant in the world at the time.
But I feel like they were always looking for people. So, do you know why it was just such a hard...
No, the thing is that they're looking for people that they know because they don't want to... Okay. They don't want to deal with that.
At that time, they were the best restaurant in the world. You don't so they probably had many people reaching out.
That too, exactly. And it's a liability when you have to, bring on someone that might be green or not know. You know what I mean? It's a teaching environment, but... Green.
I remember
it's
when
an
they
industry
told
word.
Me it was green, when I was green, I was 18.
I was green.
Of course, when they said, "Oh, you're green," I was like, "What does that mean?"
We're all green. We're all learning.
And they were like, "Oh, you've never seen anything else besides green grass." And I was like, "What the fuck?"
That's hilarious.
And I was like, "What does that mean?" I was so insulted by it, and it was the same guy that was saying "Oh," and I remember I was working a day shift. He was like, you're gonna have to work a lot in this industry. I never had a professor say that to me. I never had a culinary instructor say this is gonna be a crazy ride. It was this guy that was working in this banquet hall for 15 years and a rock band at night. He was like, this is gonna be hard for you. And I was just like, okay, well, I'm 18 years old, so I don't know what you mean. He's like, you're green, and I was like, I don't know what that means. And then when they finally told me oh, it's the only color of grass you've seen.
That's hilarious.
That's when I was insulted.
No, I get it. I get it. I understand.
I was just like, yo, fuck
no.
you.
You were
you were telling me I'm not ready for this, but you're gonna tell me I'm green.
Right.
No.
Right.
So, but I was stubborn as an 18-year-old. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't sound like you were too stubborn. It sounded like you wanted to keep growing as a chef.
Right, as a person.
Where I thought I was executive chef when I was 18 years old.
Right.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
You probably thought the same thing.
I think I was somewhere in between. I think I have split personalities. One time I'm like, oh, I definitely need to be better. But the other time when Chef JFK, when he hired me, he's like, yeah, you're right out of culinary school. I'm like, technically, yes, I'm right out of culinary school, but also I've been cooking since I was 14. I went to culinary school when I was 21.
I know, it's so
after
funny,
I had worked this whole time.
Right.
So it's yes, I did come right out of culinary school, but it's not my first job like a lot of other people who just got out of culinary school.
Wasn't my first job, but I was still a little bitch. I don't know.
But you're right.
You sound like you were humble at the age of 18, 19 working at Maria, where you were like, I need to keep growing.
I just need to learn,
Yeah.
But I was humble, but then also I have a lot of confidence within myself, of course. And for me, what happened was when I got to EMP, I thought I was, hot shit. I just worked at a 2 Michelin star restaurant, one of the best restaurants in the city.
What position did you get right when you walked in?
So everybody gets a call me when you start out.
Okay.
No matter if you're a head chef.
That's good.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
That. You have to prove your way up.
You have to prove your way up. I mean, there's guys that came from, one of my good friends, he was a head chef in London at a 1 Michelin star restaurant. And him and I.
Where?
It was the Driftwood, and now he is chef of a different restaurant that can't come to my mind right now, but he cooks amazing food. Chef Matthew Whitfield, amazing chef.
He's not New Zealand, is he?
No.
Okay.
He but him and I are cooking right next to each other. He's like 30-something years old. I'm young, and him and I are cooking, and he's just crushing everybody around so humbly.
It's not the greenhouse, is it?
But no,
Okay.
not the greenhouse.
Wow. So he was like.
He's a commis with us.
He's just like, I could beat all of you.
But he's humble. He's helping everybody out. He didn't because you.
So that's a good person to like
a great
look
person.
at and just be like, oh, all right.
Once you understand what it's about, is that it's about a team. It's about upholding the standards that you're trying to do. It's not about individual people. So when you know you're good, you don't have to prove to anybody that you're good. You're just there trying to help and understanding the team effort. So he's there crushing me, whatever the case is, and he moves up. He got offered sous chef and turned it down, went to England, do his own thing. Amazing chef. But you meet so many different people. That's my point. You meet so many different people. Everybody starts at the same thing. And I'm thinking I'm going to be, on the line in like a day or two, whatever the case is. Like similar to what you were saying about how you come out of culinary school thinking like I know everything. So I'm like, yeah, I got this. Chefs are coming up to me. Hey, Sakari, you're doing great. We're going to get you in the line soon, et cetera, et cetera. But what happened was.
But what were you doing if you weren't on the line? Can you explain to us like what
a
that
commis?
What does that mean?
So
no, like I know what it means, but let's talk
for people that don't know.
Like
So
if you're not cooking
even
on the
in New
line,
York,
but you're working, what are you doing?
Right.
If
So
you don't work in New York, you're automatically working on the line. You know what I mean?
They don't have time for that. They they need you either in or out.
Like, explain to people what exactly your commis position is.
Right. So a commis is just basically the person that's kind of beginning in the kitchen. And usually commis are all the way in the back, and they're able to see the entire kitchen, kind of like as a motivational, in a sense, right? You're able to look right? It's like, okay, I got to work to get on the line. So it's something in the back, right? And
you have to like prove yourself.
You have to prove yourself, and you're, peeling vegetables, you're peeling garlic, you are helping other people that are on the line, making sure that they don't go down. And when I say go down, I mean run out of mise en place, get yelled at. You're making them look good. You're the glue that's holding everything together.
Them look good.
That's
while they're doing service, you're tourneing. You're like really just trying to support the service.
You're making stocks. You're organizing the fridges. You're building structure and just working for it.
You're picking the herbs.
Yeah, you're doing all these things. So picking herbs, yes, and and at
peeling carrots.
Right, and at a 3 Michelin star restaurant, a lot of intricate things like veils, which is basically when you layer things, or shingle, when you layer things a certain way to make it look pretty. The commis are the ones that are doing that. The people that are online, they don't have time.
They're just cooking it and heating it.
They're keeping it, but
serving.
they understand what it means to do that, because they've have experience and things like that. So I thought I was gonna be on the line, and
No, you should see his face right now.
How long did it take for you to get past that process?
So like if I'm a year.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, right?
No,
it's not.
So
it's not. I think people should do what you did a year, because I hated those little motherfuckers that came in and insisted on getting, like, remember, because, okay, so me and Nicole worked catering, and they would always put, like, the people in catering and seeing, like, exactly what position they should put them into the restaurant.
That way they could see the skill
their
set.
job,
instead of
or
directly
their
putting them on.
respect value.
Right,
you don't know how many
right.
people we had to actually fire. Like, no one got fired in the restaurant unless you were in catering. Seriously, like, that was it.
It's like,
two different things.
Nope,
Yeah,
no, definitely not. Like, you're gonna
you're
gonna tell somebody to.
Because when you work big events, sometimes all you need are hands. Like,
right,
you don't
exactly.
necessarily need the
Somebody
most
talent.
So there's like the core group that run events, and then you've got like all the other kids right out of school who
just putting stuff on the plate.
They're just putting like 3 pieces of asparagus on a plate because you need to plate 500. And
exactly.
You don't need.
And they're feeling great about it. They're like, yes.
They're like, I am so grateful.
And then other people are like, oh my God.
Yeah, why do I have to do this?
I literally went to school for this.
Yeah.
There was one guy who's like, I cannot believe you're making me do this. I'm like, we're all.
That one guy? What do you mean? It was every other guy.
No, but there was one who's an executive chef now, so like whatever. But he was like, I cannot believe you're making me tournay the asparagus. I'm like, we're all tournaying asparagus today.
No,
we have
100%.
2,000 pieces of asparagus that need to get done. You're not special.
You're not.
I once asked this girl to cater wrap everything that she ever put into the kitchen, which just means a full-on
Wrap it up.
saran wrap
Yeah,
around.
saran wrap,
Nothing
yeah.
crazy. When
Right,
you say
right, right.
keto wrap, everyone knows what that means. This
Mm.
put a little piece of saran wrap around it, and I was just like, you can't do that. So at the end of the day, I pulled out everything and made them saran wrap it. And she just looked at me. She had it. This girl, still in school, by the way, it's her
Right.
internship. She goes, is this enough saran wrap? Because I don't want to hear you bitch. Who? Oh yeah, who? Mind
Just-
you,
just
I
write
found
on a
out when
sticky
she,
note,
I
I need
found
to
out
know.
she became like a sous chef like a
Right.
few years after that, and I was just like, I cannot wait for Karma to just bite her in the butt, because you know what?
I don't know
I
who
was
that
an
is.
asshole as a kid.
Right,
I
right,
was.
right.
I was an asshole till the age of like 23. Even Nicole knows. Like,
You still are an
yeah,
asshole.
like but now I work for myself, so like I don't give a fuck who I'm an asshole to, because I'm not an asshole. Like
Right,
that's
right.
literally how it is. Like, I'm not an asshole outside the kitchen. Like
Right.
if I'm an asshole in the kitchen, like it means I'm just like I'm looking for perfection.
Yeah,
Now
you have a
it's
standard.
not that like I'm
You have a standard, nothing
it's
personal.
not like before where I was an asshole because I deserved the best.
All right.
Mind you, I know my worth.
That's
so
called growth.
I'm just
That's growth. You're right.
yeah,
That's
it is
growth.
called. I know my worth, and I think now after the pandemic, which
Yeah.
we talked about before the recording,
Right.
we all know our worth now after the pandemic hit. Was
100%.
when
We
all
had
of
to
us,
learn.
Yeah.
all of us,
Not all
Make
of
or
us.
break.
if you're in the
Yeah.
industry and the pandemic hit and you were laid off, right when we were laid off is when we all realized like we need more.
Yeah, exactly.
I think everyone
Yeah.
in the industry agrees with me when we say like we
Yeah,
need more.
I went from working 80 hours a week traveling the world, and then all of a sudden, literally, the second I step off a plane, almost I get laid off, and I'm like,
yeah, that's crazy.
wait,
I
what?
was-
So
I was stuck in Europe. I was stuck in Europe.
oh,
and-
yeah.
I almost
hair
got-
flip. I was.
I
stuck in
almost got
Europe.
stuck in
It was-
Canada,
it
so
was-
but
it
it's
wasn't,
not as cool.
It wasn't
as
a hair
Europe.
flip.
It wasn't.
It wasn't
So
a hair
what were
flip.
you doing in Europe? How did you get there?
Yeah, and which
what was going
country?
Yeah.
Right, right. There's a lot of details. So
on? I know this story, but I love it.
Right,
Not
right.
love it, but you know what I mean.
I mean, it was
an experience.
It was an experience. There we go. It was an experience. So I worked at, like I said, I worked in the EMP. After that, I kind of got burnt out from there. Right. I was like, I don't know if I want to
Really?
do.
No way.
Yeah, it's 3
I'm
minutes.
just kidding.
I don't want to do this whole fine dining thing anymore. You know. So I started looking for black chefs. I started looking for black chefs to work
Black
with.
chefs?
Yeah, because I'm African American.
No,
So-
I didn't know if I heard you right. I
Right.
love that. Okay,
Yeah,
go
so
on.
I wanted to learn more about my culture. I went traveling. I went to Seattle. I went to DC. I ended up in
Only
New York.
for black
Where-
chefs. is
Only
what
for
you
black
were
Where
chefs.
did you
looking
go
for.
in DC?
So I went to DC at Kith and Ken with Chef Kwame Mwachi, and then I went to Seattle for Chef Eduardo Jordan. And there were, I also talked to Nina in New Orleans, and then I ended up staying in
What
New York.
made you realize? Well, I know why, because I've thought about this quite a few times.
Right.
In New York, what does New York lack? Black
The-
chefs.
the
Please
black
just say
chefs.
black
Yeah,
chefs.
black
'Cause,
chefs
like,
only.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's-
because like
It's
I'm
yeah.
glad you left and you were like, fuck this system. Like I need to follow.
I need to see, what predominant, what black chefs are doing, like that are doing great things, like, how they're doing it, what are they doing, what food are they cooking,
Why they're doing it?
Yeah, why-
Who
yeah.
they're hiring?
the story behind it, just the entire process of it. So I ended up actually staying in New York and working for JJ, which was one of the predominant, one of the most well-known black chefs in New York. And I met a good friend of mine who also was a mentor to me now, Chef Omar Tate. He was Time 100,
Awesome.
Esquire Chef of the Year, but this guy, when I first, and I'll give you a story real quick before I go into Europe. So the thing about EMP, it's great, right? But it kind of programs you to think a certain way, right?
Yeah. No, we
Right?
know.
Whether if
Oh, yeah.
if your apron's dirty or whatever the case is, right? So I'm in my interview.
It's like a neurotic
It's just
OCD that
it's
you
a
have.
it's an OCD. It's a cursing and a blessing, is what I told Chef Dimitri. But
I like that.
It
so
is.
It
You're
is.
right,
It's a
you're
curse
right
and
on
a
that
blessing.
one.
So I met Omar. This is my first impression. I see this guy. He has a huge beard. He has smudges on his apron, and I'm like, he has
Where
smudges.
did you meet him?
This is at, I guess, the interview for if I wanted to work there, basically.
Okay.
So I meet Omar. Chef JJ introduces me to Chef Omar, and like I said, he has smudges on his apron. He has smudges on his sneakers. He has a huge beard, and in EMP land or
Shave.
shave, clean, whatever the case is.
Change
So-
your jacket 3 times a day.
right? So I'm looking at this guy like, what did I get myself into? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he ended up being one of the most important people in my lives as far as mentorship, as far as helping me and things like that.
Because it's not about how you look.
It's
It's
not
about
about
how
that
you
stuff.
teach, how
it's,
you.
it's a lot.
Yeah,
You know what I
it's
mean? There's so much
different.
more. And you don't learn those things until you kind of go out into the world, which made me want to go to Europe.
Did it make you think when you were at EMP that you were stuck there?
I wasn't stuck there. I was fighting for a chance. I felt like I was fighting for a chance to just be more to
Like,
the
look
company.
what I could do.
Can I
Right,
ask, like, at
exactly.
Maria and EMP,
Yeah.
were there any other black chefs in the kitchen with you?
So what was cool about EMP was that there was one black chef in Maria, and at EMP
nice.
there was like 3 of us,
Great.
and we were
Wow.
all it was very cool.
More than
Donald,
what we worked
That's
with.
3, and then it turned to 4, and then we had a group chat. We had a handshake. We were like, it was just that look of respect, like, I see you here, you know what I mean? And we don't see a lot of each other. We had conversations that we could have only within our culture in a sense. And it's
Yeah.
nothing, not being racist or
No.
exclusive,
So,
but
like,
it's just
me and Nicole have brought this up so many times. Yes, we're physically white human beings.
Right,
but, like, we
right.
definitely love other cultures. I'm half Egyptian, so, like, I am
Amazing.
part of the African
Mhm.
life in a way.
right,
but, like,
of course.
I never really I understood the culture of kitchens. I just felt like it was always just like,
It lacked.
yeah, it
I lacked diversity.
I don't want to.
sometimes.
Lacks
It's
diversity.
like it's white men.
Yeah,
That's what it
is
is.
white men.
100%. Yeah,
It's
exactly.
terrible because I don't want to say, like, for us, we've talked about this before, that there are very few women in the kitchen.
Yes.
But there are even fewer
women of color.
Yeah.
black
How many women
black
of color
people
have
in the
you
kitchen,
worked
and
with?
then
Yeah,
even
yeah.
fewer black women in the kitchen. So
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
there's this huge divide. I feel like, and
Do you
I
feel
agree.
like you're more comfortable working for someone of color than of someone not of color?
or does it not make a difference?
It doesn't make a difference for me personally because I'm worried about becoming the best and creating my own institution, which is what Noble Promises' goal is for the next generation for African Americans and minorities and things like that.
Love that.
So I wasn't
Absolutely
focused
love
about working for the best quote unquote black chef or the best quote unquote white chef. I was looking to work for the best chef
But
so
then
that I could become that.
afterwards, though, you did start looking for working for
African
American
because I needed to understand it because it's
You
totally
need-
different. It's a totally different dynamic. We're cooking different food. We're cooking. It's a different experience.
different style,
different
passion,
styles,
different everything.
like stocks. Like when I went to Omar, the first thing he told me was like, forget everything you learned at EMP. I was like, what? What are you talking about? He's like, that stuff doesn't apply here. He's like, forget what you learned about stocks. We're making a different stock. It's not going to be carrots. It's not going to be celery. It's not going to be onions.
Tell us what it
we're
is.
gonna
though.
put
What is it?
right. We're gonna put ginger in it. We're gonna put
Ooh,
Scotch
okay.
bonnets in it. We're gonna put peppers and garlic and different things that we might have not seen in the classic French stock.
So it's
you
the
know.
same technique but different ingredients.
Just different ingredients. That's
Even
what
though,
it's
like,
about.
I
Yeah.
know, like, Creole, there is a lot of, like, different
French influence.
influences.
Yes,
so that's,
exactly.
Like, so interesting to hear that, like, let's not listen to the French.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, even like within Danielle's like restaurant group. At Restaurant Danielle, the classic stock is classic. There is no variation.
There's
It's
no
the
variation.
same stock
Right.
every single day.
Exactly.
It's carrots, celery, onion. It's chicken
Exactly.
bones. It's like precise.
Literally the
Right.
But if you go to Barbalud, it's the onion skins. It's everything. You throw it in. It's fine. So
different.
it's like it just depends. Everybody has a different. It's like even within the same chef, you
Yeah.
know that in one restaurant it needs to be exact, it needs to be perfect. But in another one, you don't have the same food costs. You need it to be more.
I just love cultural
Approachable.
differences.
Yeah.
So to
I
think
love
about
it.
like yes, your chef knows how to make the proper French style stock, but like. He knows it's also not that important. It can be a different way because for
Yes.
that cuisine, for what he's creating, it needs to be something different.
Versatility.
Yeah.
Being able to adapt.
But
Mm-hmm.
imagine putting a chef, like a French chef there. He'd be like,
He'd be like, oh my, and that's what happens a lot of times.
Like,
People that
it's-
come
it's
from,
ruined.
from these great restaurants, people that come from these great restaurants, it kind of holds them back, in my opinion, of course, because you're not able to adapt to these different things. When I went to Europe, so after I worked for black chefs, I worked with one of my buddies. We ended up getting a Michelin star together at
Nice.
24 years old. Him and I are working in the kitchen. We're doing 30
Where?
covers. It was a restaurant Yukio on the Lower East Side with Chef Marco Prince. And him and I are cooking, 5-course, 8-course tasting, just him and I. And he taught me everything, taught me everything that he knew in a sense in that time period. And he was from the Netherlands. So I told him as soon as I started, I said, listen, I want to get to Europe. And the reason why I want to get to Europe is because every great chef, in my opinion, has worked in Europe.
Oh, okay.
Chef Michael White, whether it's, Daniel Boulud, whether it's Thomas Keller, everybody's worked in some part of Europe,
it's different.
Right, it's a totally different. It's
yeah.
it's and I heard stories of people that I've met at EMP. People sleeping in the floors, and people that worked at restaurant Gordon Ramsay doing crazy things, and all these crazy stories. So I was like, I gotta live through that. I gotta experience that. I gotta learn. So after we got a Michelin star, we ended up having to close because of this is how important business is for everybody that's listening. To bring value, business is super important. Social media presence is super important. We're in a location that's a little off center. We don't have a lot of traffic. And even though we got a Michelin star, even though we're putting out great food, great service, we had to close. So that for me was a mind-opening thing. And
do you think it was lack of front of the house?
It was a very small group. It was a private owner.
Finances,
not a lot of traffic.
When did you close?
We closed right before we got announced, actually, that we had a Michelin star, and then we opened back up.
Wow.
Right, and then what happened was
I got like goosebumps from that. That's crazy.
Was that like
crazy.
just like a punch in the gut? Like,
yeah,
look at all the hard work you just
all
did.
this hard work
what
we
did, and it's like it's not good enough.
It does, yeah, and it was a punch in the gut, and Chef Marco, he had to move back to the Netherlands. Wow. I forgot what I was doing. I was just stuck, I think. I don't even remember, but they ended up hiring a different chef, and that chef, held our Michelin star that we worked so hard for because there was a private owner, you know what I mean, and they continued the process. Okay. And then it ended up closing eventually. Whatever the case is, business tactics, blah 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 blah, ended up closing. But Chef Marco, great person, he believed in God, and I think when you're going on these interviews with people, you kind of have to find out what kind of person you're dealing with, because in this industry there's a lot of snakes. You're right on that one. There's a lot of snakes.
You never know who you can trust.
Business is business at the end of the day, and you kind of have to have that feeling, that gut feeling. So when I met Marco, I had that gut feeling that this is a good guy. He's not gonna mess me over. He believed in God. He went to church, and he just values. He has values, right?
Yeah.
So he kept his promise. He said, "I'm gonna help you get to Europe." So I get to Europe, and I'm supposed to work at a 2 Michelin star restaurant called FG. And I get there, and
where's the restaurant? Netherlands?
In the Netherlands, in Rotterdam. And I get there, and I literally, I'm talking to the chef. I think after we closed down, I ended up opening WS, which was a restaurant in Hudson Yards under Chef Eli, which was the former chef per se. And the reason why I went that direction was because I wanted to get the experience of opening another restaurant. So I opened up EMP and then I opened up that restaurant.
Were they aiming for a Michelin star?
They weren't.
I feel like
they
anywhere
weren't aiming
in Hudson Yards, they were aiming for something though.
Right. They weren't aiming for a Michelin star, but they were aiming for just good reviews and things like that. It was more bistro food. It was more simple.
Was it on the top floor?
It wasn't on the top floor. They had a private dining room section for the top floor, but the tavern was on the bottom. So we worked in both.
Okay.
So we opened up that restaurant. I ended up going to Europe. I'm in Europe, supposed to work at a 2 Michelin star restaurant, FG, and he was actually African American. He was black.
Oh, awesome.
He was black, so I was like, okay.
That was just a coincidence. Right?
Well, yes, it was a coincidence, but I was like, this is the opportunity, right? I want to work for someone black. Like going back to your question that you asked about before.
Netherlands, that's like.
It's. I thought he was black, and then you get over, then you realize there's no such thing as black. It's literally.
What are they?
They're people, Dutch people. They're from Dutch,
people,
right? Yeah. Versus Americans.
Okay.
It's not white, black. It's Dutch or you're American. So people didn't even look at me like a black person that often. They looked at me like an American, like a foreigner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I get there, and I'm supposed to work for this guy, and it doesn't work out. And when I mean it doesn't work out is the pandemic hits. Right? The pandemic hits. I'm in a town. I don't know anybody. You know what I mean?
But they speak English there.
They speak English, but they don't want to speak English often.
They want to speak Dutch.
They want to speak Dutch because you're in their you're in their territory.
But they all speak
they can because
English.
they learn it.
Yeah.
But most of them don't speak it very well sometimes.
Okay.
And the person I was dealing with, I'm not gonna talk rude about anybody. She wasn't very helpful, but she felt she was being helpful, but she wasn't helpful. And she didn't speak very good English. And, I moved across the country, saved all this money. I moved all the way there. I get there, and there was a lot of obstacles in my way, but I kind of ignored them and just kept moving forward. And I said, I'm going to figure it out. And then Chef and I get in a conversation. He's like, yeah, there's nothing I could do for you, basically. So you promised me a job.
Were you on a visa?
I wasn't on a visa. What happened was we were in the process of getting a visa. So he's like, I thought it was going to be easier. I didn't know I was going to have to spend all this money, blah, 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 blah. We're having conversations. I'm like, no problem. Like, what can I do? He's like, it is a problem. I spent all this money, whatever. So I'm here stuck, no job. And during the pandemic, worried about my family, all these things, and I'm
Yeah.
like, what did I get myself into?
What month was this when you like
I
got
don't even
there?
I don't even remember, man.
Like
It
the
was,
pandemic hit like in a March.
it literally hit.
Yeah, but it hit us in March.
So it was
Netherlands, I would say like maybe
probably
like
March then. It was
April maybe.
Maybe a
I think
little
it was
later.
March. I think it was
Did
around
you-
the same time.
Did you think about coming back to America?
Every day. What do you mean? I was broke. You know what I ate for dinner? I ate peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Sardines.
Yeah, I didn't have a fridge, so I lived with. So let me tell you about the story, right? So I lived with like 6 other people. One person from Spain, one person from Italy. I lived with
All
a Dutch.
chefs?
No.
Oh, just random.
Just random people, whatever I could find to like live in. You know what I mean? So I'm living with this Dutch. The owner of the house lives with us, and he has like a Thai mistress, we call it. Basically, like, you know, she's
Oh,
not
okay.
Sugar baby.
she's not legal, but she's there. She's from Thailand, and she takes up the entire fridge. So I don't have a fridge. The only thing I can eat is, you know, prosciutto or like any cured meats, anything that keeps warm out. So I'm going to the market because it's cheaper, and I'm buying fruits and tomatoes and things like that.
I'm not laughing, but I'm laughing.
But like, you know what I mean? Like, and I didn't tell my parents about this because I didn't want them to worry. But
Oh
I'm over
my
here.
God.
I'm over here eating like canned food, hot dogs. I got like a little, like you know, we call it a Foreman grill, but like the little grill that you kind of plug in.
Yeah.
And I'm getting, and they jar.
Grilling tomatoes.
Yeah, like they jar hot dogs there.
Yeah,
they put
yeah.
it. So I'm taking it out there. I'm
Europe
cooking.
is so weird.
I'm
Europe
cooking,
is crazy.
I'm cooking my hot dogs on there. I'm warming up my sandwich. Every day I had a sandwich, whether it was a turkey sandwich, cured ham sandwich,
was
peanut
good
butter
though,
and
right?
jelly. And yeah, they make all their fresh breads from like grocery stores and things like that. But that was my dinner until I was able to get a fridge and so on and so forth. So I'm telling my friend chef, Marco, about my experience. And
But why didn't you come back?
so I didn't want to give up. I didn't want
okay.
to
like
give
that.
up.
I like that.
I
Because
didn't-
once you leave, you're not going back to Denmark.
Once you leave, it's over. It's
Yeah.
you know,
Or
it
yeah.
was Netherlands. But
Sorry.
once you leave,
Same thing.
Nicole's in a different conversation.
once you leave, it's like you gave up, and it's going to be very, very hard to get, especially with the pandemic. So I didn't give up. I told to Marco, he's like, all right, let me try to reach out to friends. What can I do? What can I do? So he ended up reaching to an amazing chef called Jan Sebecki. He worked in New York for 5 years. He worked for Tom Colicchio. He worked at all these great places. It's in the middle of nowhere. So Rotterdam in the Netherlands is like a very well-known city.
Uh-huh.
It's second to Amsterdam, maybe about 40 minutes between.
Okay.
And I end up moving to Heze, Eindhoven Heze, and it's in the middle of nowhere. I mean, farms, like a small, very, very small town.
But
I mean,
sometimes that's where you find the
That's where
real,
you-
true.
that's where you learn the most.
Yeah.
That's where you learn the most. And I get there, and he didn't care about a visa. He didn't care. He paid for a hotel for me to do a week there to help him open
Oh,
up.
that's nice.
And then he paid for my housing for the time that I was there.
This is after EMP, after Maria.
Yeah, after all this
everything.
stuff, just trying to learn, just trying to, you know. So he didn't even know much about me, he just knew Marco. And I sit down, have a conversation with me. Really great guy. Before I even started my stage, he said, let's sit down, let's drink some water, let's have a conversation.
That's amazing.
So,
Especially during the pandemic.
right,
'Cause
it's
everyone
crazy
wanted
time.
to be with
Everybody
their
wants,
family.
right,
Like, and
exactly.
you're just like, I'm in Europe. Sorry, guys. Like, I'm gonna do my own thing right now.
right, exactly. So long story short, he makes me feel welcome. He lives in the restaurant. He owns the entire restaurant. He lives upstairs. We started our days.
Would you
Going
ever
to
do
the
that,
gar-
by the way?
Yes, I would. Yeah, for sure.
Really?
I
Yeah.
think it's really important to have separation, but also, if that's your job, you need to be close.
I don't know.
It depends
There's
on
a-
what you're going for.
I think there's two different people in the world: the people that want to live
Yeah.
at work and the people that don't want to live
It-
at work. Sakari wants to live at work.
For a certain restaurant concept, yes. For other restaurant
For
concepts,
your
no.
restaurant concept,
For the first, yeah.
sorry
I
guys,
wanna
he wants to
open-
open up a restaurant.
I
and
want to
it's-
open up a bed and breakfast, and I would absolutely live on the property.
It's amazing,
I
yeah.
don't want to hear people having sex in my bed and breakfast.
No, I wouldn't live in
You
the same
wouldn't,
building as
no.
where the.
It's,
Oh, you
Yes,
would live on the
listen.
property. Oh, sorry. There's a
was-
No,
hair
I'd
flip.
have a house somewhere
She's
else on the
having a
property.
house somewhere else on the
Right,
property.
right. He was
This might get rich quick. First, I need to do the get rich quick scheme, and
Right.
then I can open the
first
bed and
step.
breakfast.
Right, there you
It's
go. There
called
you
a
go.
Ponzi scheme, but go
Amazing.
on.
So yeah, he lived upstairs, and it was nice actually. I finally was able to see it after we stopped working. But he lived upstairs.
You
we
finally
started.
got to see his apartment, you said?
Yeah, like he invited me over. Like when I was going back to the States, he invited me upstairs. So I was
Aw,
like,
that's
that's
nice.
amazing. You know what I mean? And you know, very, very, very nice guy. So we started our day at the garden before he got to work, and then you know somebody drove me to work, picked me up, whatever the case is.
Wow, that's nice.
So yeah, I was living at a bed and breakfast, and then I was living at a bed and breakfast. So I was living at a bed and breakfast. That's all I was doing. So somebody drove me to work. We went to the garden. Then after the garden, we get there and the chef's there. He lives upstairs, but he's the first person in the kitchen every day. And he is literally baking.
That says something, by the way.
It says a lot.
Says a lot.
It's important.
It's leadership. It's leading by example. So he's there baking breads. After he's done baking bread, he's making macaroons. After he's done making macaroons, he's cleaning seafood.
Team?
So for the pastries, I was the pastry chef.
Oh, wow.
I was the pastry chef.
Do you like doing pastries?
I wanted, so when I was on Chopped.
Oh
yeah. Well, drop the mic.
No,
when I was on Chopped.
So when I was on, I competed on Chopped, right? I ended up losing on the third round, right? Second place to a pastry
the
chef.
Fact that you even got
To a
on
pastry
this
chef.
show.
To a pastry chef. So I lost the third round, on dessert round, to a pastry chef. So I was like, I need to work on my pastries. 'Cause
Yeah.
I never really wanted to because it was so
Was
different
that
from
your
savory
first time
cooking.
where you're like, shit, pastry?
Yeah, I was like, okay, I need to kind of have a basis or understand, So when I
Yeah.
went to Europe and I had a good feeling of savory cooking and things like that. I talked to the chef. I said, listen, I'm not really interested in cooking savory. I want to learn pastry food here.
Wow.
I was like, because he saw I worked hard like the first week, and I didn't take off days. When we had days off, I would come in and make sure everything was good. Like I worked really hard. So he saw that, respected that. We had a conversation, and he let me become the pastry chef. And he taught me all the pastries I knew from France. He was a chef of like a 3-star restaurant in France, and he was teaching me all the basics of pastry. So we're making ice cream, we're making sorbets, we're doing everything. Making breads, macaroons, whatever the case is. So I enjoyed it. I learned a lot, but that's why I came there for. And what was amazing about him was that he wanted me to learn. A lot of chefs don't want you to learn. They look at you like
you're just
hands. They look at you just like another employee.
Yeah, you're
just there to work. He said he saw the drive in me. He saw the respect that I had. And he said, yo, you came all the way over here to learn, so you need to learn. So I was doing pastry, and then I would come help up on the pass. It was a small team, 2 Michelin star restaurant.
Nice.
And small team, and we're literally doing everything. So basically, I'm working garde manger, and then we're going to get to the mid-course, and then we get to dessert. And we just would hop around. Because it was such a small team, we would just hop around.
How many people were on the team?
1,
Like
2,
daily?
3, 4, 5, maybe 8 people all day,
Oh, that's nice.
including the chef.
That's different
all
from
in the
where
past.
you came from, where
Very
you were
different.
like 150
Just
people
another
every day,
number.
just
Yeah.
8 people on the pass every single
But
day.
isn't that nice though? Because like we used to work at a place where like you're replaceable. Fuck you. Like
Yeah, they
you
don't care.
Come in,
They don't care.
There's millions of people dying
Right.
to work here. Where like you get to a place where you're like
Everybody
you're
wants to
needed.
be there. Everybody wants to
Yeah.
be there.
Everybody has
amazing.
their own responsibility, their own.
And they have the drive. They have the same respect. You know what I mean? Everybody's working hard. There's not one person that's there
I
that's
never
like.
worked for such a. I have worked for a small team, not Michelin star, and I think that that's even more amazing. Is like when there's a smaller Michelin star team that
Yeah.
we're like, we're trying to hold these 2 stars, maybe even more.
They're trying to
So,
go for
like,
3. Yeah, he was trying to go
yeah.
for 3. And
So that's awesome.
we worked from 9 o'clock in the morning until about 2 a.m. We worked 4 days a week. And it was incredible.
Which is so,
4
We did
the
4 days
days
away,
though
yeah. The
are,
3
like,
days off were
sleeping.
incredible. Were amazing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
But I'm in the pandemic, and that's when I
how
started.
long were you there for?
In total, I think about almost a year in total. Like,
Wow.
like
Wow.
10, 11 months.
So I saw you. I met you actually,
Yeah.
like a few months after you got back.
Right. So after so this is how amazing this chef was, because I got to give him his roses while he's here, and hopefully he's
Yeah,
listening.
why not? I hope
right?
he listens.
Hopefully
So-
you listen.
I'm gonna send it to him,
That'll be
Jan,
great.
Chef Jan. I'm gonna send this to you. So he sent me to another restaurant before I left because he wanted me to learn something else. He was like this is how much he wanted me to learn.
You need more chefs like this.
Well, you do, and
Yeah,
that's why I'm
like,
saying this. That's why I'm telling
seriously.
this story so people can learn and understand this, right? So he sent me to another restaurant called Beliefsta, and before he even sent me there, he said, "Listen, wherever you want to work, I'll send you wherever you want to go." He said, "I have a lot of friends in the Netherlands. Anywhere in the Netherlands you want to work, 3
That's
stars.
awesome.
Where I have friends, let me know." So I tell him the place that I tell him is basically the number 1 restaurant in the Netherlands, a very old school kitchen.
Nice.
And they didn't speak any English, so he didn't tell me this part, but I found this part out. They didn't speak any English, so it wasn't gonna work out.
So the place that you were working at, they spoke English.
Yeah, the place that I work at, they spoke English. The meetings were done in Dutch, and then somebody would just translate it for me. The service was all done in Dutch. I had to
Did
learn
you
it.
slowly start understanding?
Yeah, like a lot of things were very similar
Can
and
I
things
ask
like that.
why you chose the Nether? Like, of all the places in Europe, why
Right.
did you choose
Yeah,
the
like, why
Netherlands?
not
That was the only place.
Copenhagen?
That was
Why
the
not
only.
Copenhagen? Why
Right.
not France? Why not Italy?
So that was the only place I can get in. It was literally just Europe.
It's interesting because
I tried.
there's
I tried.
so no,
I tried.
it's
France
great,
is
like-
hard. I tried France. I tried.
Don't
Yeah,
even think like a lot of people would enjoy France as much as they think
I,
they would.
so before I left Europe, I went to France, and I could have worked at Frenchie's, which is one Michelin star restaurant, but I didn't really enjoy it as much as I thought I would.
Yeah,
It's amazing. France is amazing, but for me, what I realized was that I didn't want to cook that food.
yeah. Okay.
I wanted to cook my own food. So being there was amazing and understanding the culture, but this wasn't the culture that I wanted to invest in. So that's why I didn't do it for me. You know, London was amazing because everybody spoke English. That was cool.
Right.
I was in London for a bit. And I had friends out there from E&P, so they
I
welcomed
think
me
London kitchens are the most insane.
Okay.
I hear crazy stories
Yeah.
about
London kitchens are crazy. You start at 6 a.m. You
Yeah.
finish at
Yeah.
2 in the
Yeah,
morning,
yeah,
and then
exactly.
you do it
no
Every
money.
day, yeah.
Absolutely no money.
It's so
I-
crazy.
Yeah, but you grow. I mean, you don't want to do it for life.
Obviously,
Well,
but like just coming from like New York, where like
Totally different.
The other
Yeah.
thing about that, you
Overtime?
grow twice
it
as
progressed
fast. You're
in,
working.
Yeah.
like 3 years that I worked there.
Yeah.
It was like, oh,
What's
no
overtime?
more, no more yelling at women the way you used to yell
Yeah,
at women.
yeah, it's
and
totally
I'm just
different.
like, yes, but
In
like,
kitchens like that, when you're working that much, you grow 2 times as fast.
Exactly.
Like think
exactly.
about if you're
And
working
that's what I
40
was there
hours a
for.
week, you learn
Yeah.
40 hours a week. If you're working 80 hours a week, you learn
no,
twice
but
as fast
London
as everyone
is like
else.
120 a week.
Yeah,
You're building-
no, it's
Normal.
crazy.
You're building stamina as well. You're not getting like I was
had
tired.
the stamina, but it's
I
gone
was-
now.
I was there tired. People look at me like American,
This is
like
tired.
we're like, hey, what are you doing? Like, hey, let's go faster, let's go. And I'm there like, are we ready to go home yet? I want to go home. It's 3:00 in the morning. I worked 4 days straight.
Are you
like,
glad you're American at this point?
yeah, I mean, but like now I'm able, like when I'm working on my restaurant, when I'm doing my pop-ups and things like that, now I wake up and people see me and they come into, whatever it is, and they're like, wow, this kid's here, this kid's working this.
Well, it
'Cause now
sounds
I have a
like
different
you
stamina.
Like working. It sounds like you like to grow as a person. It sounds like
Yeah,
you want
I
to
love what I do,
own
for
your
sure.
place. Yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds like you have the passion. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah, of course.
I don't think I could own a place at this point in my life. I'm
But my
done.
friend who worked in London, she's back in New York now. She's from like the DC, Maryland
She probably
area.
thinks this is just
But she worked in France, she worked in London, she's worked in New York City, she's worked in DC.
Yeah.
But she's back in New York now, and she's like, this is easy. This is
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
8
well,
hours,
Jace
then you get
just said that
overtime.
too. He's born and raised in France, and he was just like, America's easier to work.
You work
at.
you work 8 hours and you get overtime.
I mean, she
Over
doesn't
there,
work 8 hours. She's salaried, and
right,
she
right.
definitely works
Different
like
levels, of course.
like
yes.
15-hour days.
Right,
because
right,
she's
right, of
executive
course.
too,
Yeah.
but
Don't
like,
equate a
Yes,
salary
yes,
in
yes.
but it's 5 days a
America.
week.
Right, right, right.
It's
of course.
not 20 hours a day.
Right,
Like,
right.
When she was in London, it was
It's-
terrible.
It's you choose your battles, because over in Europe they're not doing 150 covers. They're talking to me. They're like, what? 150 covers? 200 covers? Like, what is that? They're doing 30,
60.
40, 50, 60, 20 at sometimes. So yeah, you're working. You choose your battles. It's different
but
things.
it's more intimate and real that way.
Exactly.
I feel.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
exactly.
like, that's why like people do travel far to go
Yeah,
to those restaurants.
exactly.
And
I
enjoy
rode-
their experience.
Rode my bike to my restaurant every day.
Oh,
Built
that
a.
must have been an experience.
It
though.
was insane. Built a relationship with everyone. All the chefs were very humble, and they sat and ate with us. They ate. They took us out to dinner. They were. It was just part of the family. So we learned a lot. It was an amazing experience. Got home and even I was building my concept in my restaurant there. On my 3 days off that I had, I was
3 days off is amazing.
right, because it was so different from me. I had 2 days off, so I was like, oh my god, what am I gonna do this extra day? So I took 1 day of sleep.
What
right?
you
Which you
need.
need.
What you need,
you
right? I
need.
took 1 day of sleep, so I,
I
was
had a
chilling.
friend when I was working like 6 days a week. My friend Holly, actually, she met me and she was like, "Are you high? What's wrong with you?" I was just like,
Is this my
"Nothing's.
day to sleep?
This is my sleep day, and I'm spending
Right.
it with you. So
Right.
I'm actually just like totally out of it because
Yeah.
I just worked 100 hours
Yeah,
last
exactly.
week."
Yeah.
And I should be sleeping because I have only gotten 20 hours of sleep in the last 4 days,
Exactly.
5 days.
Yes.
And instead I'm spending it with you. So like, sorry, but I'm not here.
Right.
Mentally.
Exactly.
But that was before I knew my value,
Mhm.
Now I know that if I need that day, I'm not going to hang out with friends.
My-
I'm going to
Exactly.
say,
Take that
I
day.
need my
Yesterday
sleep
was
day.
my sleep
Yeah.
day. It was really bad.
I
but
love
it was-
sleep days. Sleep is important.
It sounds
Sleep is
bad,
important.
Yeah, but I was so tired I couldn't nap.
Oh.
Yeah, like you know that
Yeah, that
like
weird in
tired
between. Yeah, yeah,
feeling.
yeah.
I think I need a B12 shot. I told
Sleep.
you that, but like I
I'm-
think I need like an IV drip
I'm
in
big
my
on sleep.
hand just like to do it.
I'm
'cause
all about sleep. People don't get sleep. People think work hard and don't get sleep. You need sleep.
Yeah, so
You
like
need
as a
sleep.
chef, you believe in wellness as like
Yeah, because you're not gonna bring your best. If you're not happy, if you're not sleeping, if you don't get a meal in between, if you're not eating, you're not gonna be happy at work, and you're not gonna perform better for the overall team.
And
it's
Which we were just talking about drugs, like as everyone
Yeah,
used to talk
yeah,
about how like
exactly.
chefs were like druggies and alcoholics. Like
no.
we can't go to work
We're
hungover
trying-
anymore.
no,
I'm so
no.
sorry, but like I was hungover at work like a few days ago, and I had 2 drinks.
can't. Yeah.
I had 2 drinks the night before, and I was just like, yo, I need a nap.
You're like, what did I do?
Like what
I
is
just-
going
I
on?
think,
It's
like-
also post-pandemic.
Right.
In our
So,
industry,
like-
we really like push our bodies to the limit.
The max.
You
Yeah.
go. I mean, there were so many events where I would travel to Singapore. I'm completely a different time zone, and I have to push through it. I have
Yeah.
2 hours of sleep on an airplane,
Yeah.
and I have to
I think
function
this
for
is
a
why I'm
12-hour
like drinking
shift
so
afterwards.
much wine. Am I the only one that's drinking
No,
wine
it's
right
it's
now?
unusual. Actually, usually I'm the wine drinker.
Yeah, I
But it's
picked up.
you do that.
So for everyone
Sorry,
that's listening, she just spilled the wine. Everyone she spilled the
I
wine.
do the laundry around here, so that's why I spill wine.
It's okay,
because
though.
I
It's
don't
alright.
Thomas,
care.
our ghost host, does laundry, so
It's
I know, so
totally
bad.
fine.
But we really push our bodies to the
bodies.
limit. You
Yes.
work a lot.
It's a young
I
man's
know
game.
You don't sleep.
Isn't
Maybe,
it crazy? We're not even 30, and we're like, it's a young man. We're young men.
No,
Yeah.
but you get what, 5 hours of sleep?
Yeah, 5-6 hours if you're lucky.
Maybe
Yeah,
4 to 6.
Four,
max?
yeah, 4 to 6.
4 to 6.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's 4.
I
and
love
then,
my 8. I
and
love
then-
my 8 hours.
Yeah, now
need
I'm
it.
working a job where I'm getting 8 hours every night, and I am a completely different person. I have so much more energy.
Yeah.
It's
And-
fascinating.
and
But
eating. You
I
have to
did
eat.
just tell Nicole. Yeah, you do have to eat.
You have
And
to
I'm
eat.
eating 3 meals a day.
You
He's
have to,
actually
at
super
least.
into like healthy, like eating.
It's important.
And me
It's
and
so
her,
important.
well, together we eat healthy, but like she
It's-
used to tell me I'm a fat bitch like, in the middle of work while I'm trying to like pound
I'm
some
like, do
cheesecake.
you
down.
really need to
fuel.
eat the foie
Yeah,
gras?
and
Right,
like
right,
now
right.
I
You
need
don't.
somebody to be like, you can't have the chicken fingers, and I'm
Right.
like, I made these chicken
Food
fingers.
is fuel. Food
It's
is fuel.
and
It
like
helps
right
you.
now my relationship at work
Mhm.
with food has changed because I'm doing recipe development, so I'm tasting food all day.
All the time.
So
yeah.
no longer am I eating because I'm hungry, I'm eating because it's my job.
It's
And
your
like
job.
as a chef, you guys know, you're cooking but you're not like
No,
you
I-
You're
taste
tasting,
it,
but
and
you're
when
not
it's good,
eating.
it's good. You're done. You put it
Yeah.
away.
I did mashed potatoes the other day.
I
And
don't.
you know when you're making mashed potatoes, it's constantly tasting them.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't know why it's mashed potatoes when you have to
You gotta
you
taste-
literally
yeah.
Because
just
the salt absorbs different,
Oh
like
my
every,
God.
and then you taste
So
in
I
20
made it
minutes,
too
it's
li-
different.
Right,
I made
right,
it
exactly.
too like liquidy. I made it more of like a palm puree, and like these people don't want palm puree. They
Right.
want mashed potatoes.
Right, right. That's what they
So
want.
like I cooked it down, and I'm tasting the salt, and I'm adding more butter, and I'm tasting the salt.
Right,
and I'm
right,
just
right.
like, oh my god! I think they, literally no joke. I think in total there was a cup used out of like the 2 quarts I made.
Right, right, right.
And I'm just like, like I literally spent so much time on you. But again, I tasted that mashed potatoes, and I've told you this before. When I have so much butter, I feel the butter on my chest. No,
That's
it's
not a good
true.
thing.
No, you
That's
know
not a
that.
good
You know
thing.
that feeling when there's like that huge
I don't-
heaviness of butter on
I don't
your
like.
chest.
I don't like that feeling.
No one
That's-
likes that
No,
feeling.
it's, but when
That's why
the
I
way
eat
I have
healthy.
to taste
Yeah, eat
recipes is
healthier.
like I have to make 4 different versions, and then I have to choose my favorite version. And
Right.
then if this is my favorite, I have to scale it up to 50 to see if it's
Yep,
good.
yep, yep,
And
yep.
then if it's good, I have to make sure it's good at 50, and then I have to
just
taste
tasted
it
wine
again.
off my arm. I'm
So,
so
just
sorry.
for one recipe, but I have 50 recipes.
Right.
So like, it's just so much
Constant tasting.
constant
Constant
that when I
tasting.
come home, I just want to eat like scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to eat
100%.
anything. I want to eat like
People-
a
I don't
miso
even wanna
People-
eat
soup
the
or
way
a
you do.
scrambled eggs.
People think that like I cook at home. People like I don't cook at home that
We
often.
cook at
Oh,
home.
I
We
cook
cook
at
at
home.
I don't
home.
cook
We're
that
the
often.
weird
I'm
chefs
like-
that cook
Like
at
tonight,
home.
I'm cooking
I mean, now-
mussels with curry and birria tacos.
That sounds
She
amazing.
thinks-
I love curry.
No, she thinks
That
she's
sounds
gonna do
amazing.
that while Dahlia's gonna be like slaving away in the kitchen. Like
That sounds
"Are we
amazing.
almost done, Nicole? I
But
wanna
if
go
I'm-
to sleep.
If I'm cooking like 16 hours a day, I don't want to eat the food that I was cooking or
Well,
tasting.
you said Wendy's in the beginning.
that's
so
why I
Wendy's
think-
is your go-to.
I guess-
Is Wendy's your go-to? I
No,
want
I
to know his
try-
fast food go-to.
My fast food go-to.
Your
I mean,
fast food go-to.
I mean, I love McDonald's fries. I like McDonald's for I like all fast food.
Ooh,
I try not to eat
Checkers
fries.
fries.
Are fire. Yeah.
Wow.
But
Four for
I have
4.
like, what's your fast food go to?
So gross. And I did this like recently, like 6 months ago, and I don't do this. I haven't done this in like years. spicy chicken sandwich from Wendy's, no tomato, and French fries. And then I need a 10-piece chicken nugget.
Very specific.
Wait,
Very
but
specific.
I want 4 chicken nuggets that are non-spicy.
Oh my
and then
God.
The
What
6
is good?
chicken nuggets
I would
that
hate
are
her.
spicy.
Spoiled brat.
I would hate her to go like, don't come to Wendy's. Like
Don't
what?
come to Wendy's.
Like
And
what?
it's so good because you shake it in the bag and you don't know if you're getting
my-
spicy or not in your mouth. Oh, I love it.
Oh my
My
God.
guilty pleasure.
You like Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, but
I love
I
Chick-fil-A.
just the FYI, I support the gays. I love the gays.
Yeah,
I am not
100%.
here
We love
to-
everybody. We love everybody.
We love everybody.
Everybody,
The
all
gays are fine.
shades,
I know
My
a gay
family,
guy
my
that works
friends.
for Chick-fil-A, so that's not even like, it's
I
crazy.
love Chick-fil-A.
But I love Chick-fil-A. It's
100%.
bad.
I think it's salty.
Well,
And that's me. Like,
But-
bitch, I love salt. I literally lick salt.
Chick-fil-A is great.
Really?
love
I
salt.
like Popeyes better. But we're gonna do an episode.
Okay, you
I love
can't
the Popeyes
compare
chicken.
Popeyes to Chick-fil-A. They're just
I
different.
love-
Really? Oh, you
I
can't?
love the Popeyes chicken
Every-
sandwich.
Every
You like
single.
Popeyes chicken sandwich. I like
When it first
Popeyes
came out,
fries.
when it first-
Cajun fries.
The Cajun fries are
Bitch,
fine,
Please.
but
Eat-
Eat healthy, everyone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. By the way, BT Dubs.
By the
Sakari
way.
says
every
eat healthy.
single family gathering, there's Popeyes at every single
Really?
family
For
gathering.
you?
That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Do you think fast food helped you with your ticket time? Because people ask me, like, how does it work when it comes
Right.
to working? Like, you think working at McDonald's like a realization where you're just like, ticket time actually means something.
Right. Well, not just ticket time. I think it was a huge realization on the entire hospitality industry, meaning that the importance of a smile, meaning that the importance of, like you said, ticket time, how fast we're getting out the cars. Just a lot of basics and intricacies that's important in the entire industry that you learn at McDonald's. And I learned that at a young age, like having a clean uniform and smiling and asking a customer a certain thing, like when people come into McDonald's, there's a certain spiel that we have to do, and upselling, right?
Yeah.
Like when somebody orders something, hey, would you like a Coke with that? Would you like that as a large? Trying to upsell. These little things or little tricks helps you with everything in the industry. So
Do you think upselling in like a fine dining is appropriate?
yes, I think so. As long as you do it
Depends on
how you do it.
elegant you do
How do you
it.
do it? You know what I mean? Like, hey, like, would you have any if someone asks you, hey, do you have any recommendations? You could just be like, yeah, I think the Wagyu on our high-end menu is amazing. And
Yeah.
you know what I mean? If you have a separate menu, like for Noble Promise, what we're doing is, we have a separate menu, a high-end menu for VIPs and things like that. So that way-
okay.
that
That's
way-
smart. I
right.
feel like that's
But is that hard in the kitchen to control like what's VIP? Because what I've been taught is that everyone's a VIP.
So everyone's a VIP, yes,
oh.
for sure. But there's sometimes, if Michelin comes in, I'm cooking all the food. Respect, you know what I mean? Like there's certain people that when I was working at Murray, Michael Jordan came in and Chef Michael White came in at 9:00 in the night and he cooked the entire meal himself. There's certain things that you do,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're right.
but-
I don't like when they're like, oh, everyone's the same. Where I'm like,
right. I mean, everybody is the same in a sense because everybody's, VIP, right?
Everyone's paying the price.
Right. But, there are certain special people that you want to cook your heart out for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And having a separate menu that gives people the option to upsell, right? Or, to help with our food costs and things like that. I think that's important.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It is.
To
It is
help
important.
with the entire fine dining, or I call it experiential dining because we're selling an experience.
I think it's great because so many people look down on people who work in fast food, or they're like, oh, why do those people deserve minimum wage but these cooks also deserve minimum wage? It's like you're still working a lot of hours, you're
So-
still
Same amount of
pushing, you're
people.
still
Right.
yeah.
But so to speak on that, I think, so besides Noble Promise, right, which is my company, I also want to have a fast food restaurant later down the road. And I think fast food,
Fast food or fast casual?
so fast food,
Okay.
but a healthy version, rotisserie chicken, barbecue chicken,
Yum.
like think KFC, but like grilled or rotisserie,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Something like that. But I think it's so important because listen, when you're trying to make a fine dining restaurant and you're not able to take a 16-year-old, 17-year-old off the street, right? Where I come from, people on the street, they're getting in trouble, right? So at a fine dining restaurant, we're not going to be able to kind of bring that person in because we're going to go back to what we were saying, which is, they're green, they don't have experience. But we can put them in that that restaurant, that fast food restaurant, and we could teach them the basics and things like that. And now that gives them the opportunity to work up within our company. So now they're staying for 4 or 5 years, but now they're learning
You
different
have
levels,
branches.
different levels
Yeah.
of things that
Once
they can
they
learn.
learn the standard, then they go to the next restaurant and then
Exactly.
the next restaurant.
Exactly. And now we're taking people off the street. Now we're welcoming anybody off. And now they're not just thinking about becoming a basketball player, or not. They're not just thinking about becoming an actor or something. Now they have this other opportunity where, you know, anybody can get a job. It's minimum wage. If you need a job, if you need just to make extra money, and then you can fall in love with it. You know, the same way anybody else falls in love with anything else.
So is that what you envision for Noble Promise? Is just bringing anyone that has some sort of dream and just being like, this
Right.
is what you could
So
do.
Noble Promise is my restaurant group, and also it's a media company. The first restaurant, which I'm working on.
Company, you're meaning?
When I say media production, meaning like I've taught myself basically how to produce all my own content, and we're filming and we're recording and documenting everything. We're trying to create. We're trying to create
HBO's gonna pick you up in a few years.
That's the goal, right?
That's
But
nice.
we're creating a blueprint for everyone to see about how to become successful. So imagine the first, you know, African American chef with 2 Michelin stars, but also imagine how did he get here? What was every
and a
step?
full brand,
And a
not
full brand.
just a one-off chef. You know,
No,
a full
exactly.
brand.
If we're trying to create wealth, if we're trying to take care of my mom, if we're trying to buy my mom a house, like everybody else is, you know, doesn't,
Trying to buy their
right?
own house.
That's the goal, right? So if we're trying to create
The
wealth,
fast house too, not just our
no,
house, 'cause you
exactly.
could do that.
We're trying to create legacy. We're trying to create wealth, and in order to do that, you know, we need to create a brand. You know, it takes time. It takes 10 years to build a brand. You know what I mean? And we're not just a regular chef. We're building. We're building. We have a purpose. It's not about me. You know, for fine dining or for Noble Promise, what we're trying to do is food for us, by us. You know, cooking for the culture. We're trying to bridge the gap between different wealth groups and different races and things like that. We're trying to make fine dining accessible to everybody, not just the
Why do you
wealthy.
think it's not accessible to everybody? Obviously the price, but there's way more than
It's
just
not the price. It's not the price.
Yeah.
This the thing is that our culture, in my opinion, from where I come from, we're able to go to a club, right? We're able to go spend $1,000 for a bottle sometimes, right? But we wouldn't do that at food because we don't understand or we don't see the value in it. So what I'm trying to do is create the value for everyone to understand, okay, this experience is worth whatever amount of money. This is why Shake Shack worked. Shake Shack is expensive for fast food. However, it has good quality food and people enjoy it. If you're putting out a good product, people don't care about the price. They'll pay for it.
Yeah.
They'll wait on the line. They'll pay for it. But it has to be a good experience. It has to be good service. It has to be good food. So we're trying to
I've
educate
gotten
people.
like good quality experience at Shake Shack. Like
Yeah.
I've gotten like Michelin star experience at Shake Shack,
Exactly.
which is like beyond even what you're thinking of. Like when you walk into like a Wendy's or a
Saying-
McDonald's or a Popeyes,
people-
like
People saying your name instead of just a number. You know,
Yeah.
when I was reading the book, like that, like they don't call out your number, they call out your name. That little difference right there is what makes people want to go back. You know,
Yeah.
using fresh products, like fresh everything, whatever the case is, having people there that smile, enjoy their work, you know, and giving people that work there incentives to keep working and want to
Yeah.
stay within the company.
I
All
feel like
those things
there's
are important.
growth at Shake Shack.
Exactly, and that's just an
Yeah.
example of what, you know, what I'm trying to do within my company and trying to give access to everybody, you know, to give value and people to understand. Okay, I can spend $200 in a meal at Noble Promise, but it was an amazing experience and I want to come back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just creating the value, making people feel like they get, and that can go into portion sizes. That can go into how does the server make you feel. That can go into takeaways, you know, takeaways that we give.
I have a question about value. How
course.
do you feel about EMP vegetarian, vegan? Do you think that I mean, okay, I know obviously you're not going to say anything bad, and we always want to be positive.
Right.
But do you think it's the same value being a vegetarian or a vegan restaurant now,
Right.
paying the same amount of money
Right.
that you paid when it was protein?
That's a great question, and thank you for that question. I think if I'm
First
being
of all, how
think-
shocked were you when you saw that?
And there's a
That,
lot of
like,
innovation that they have to be doing. And
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
sure so much innovation that they're pushing and everything.
I respect Danny Hume's position and what he's been doing, and I think he's an amazing chef. I think the team there, the CDC, Dom, I've worked with Dom hands-on, and I think he's an amazing chef. And, you know, to see what they're doing, I think is great. I think when I first heard it, I think
What was
It
your
was
first reaction?
my
I
first
wanna know that
reaction.
first was like,
So
what the
no,
fuck?
right. So when I first heard it, I was like, this guy's a genius.
Really?
This is what I said to myself.
Do you want to know
This
what
guy's
I
a genius.
thought?
And the
I'm
reason
just
why
kidding.
the reason why I said this guy's a genius is because now we're in a pandemic, right?
Yeah.
We're losing money on every front. How can we make money in fine dining? We're just going to cut out all the animal products and we're just going to use vegetables that's way cheaper, and we're going to charge the same and make a way more different percentage. You know, if you're spending money on
But
duck,
what
if you're
about
spending
customers? Because most of your customers going
the most
to eat
most
at
of the
fine
people
dining restaurants
most
want the perfect cooked
they
meat.
want the
You know what I mean? They
right,
want
the duck,
perfect
right?
cooked fish.
Well, that's where the experience / service comes in. The service is still the same. They still have the same amount of service. So when you go in there, you're still having the same amount of service, but you're just having, you know, quote unquote vegan food, which of course the chef believes in. So do I find the value in going there for the vegan food? No, it might not be for me, right? However, when I first heard it, I was like, this guy's a genius, because now he's able to make money from a standpoint when he needs to.
For the first time ever, the restaurant's probably making a good profit because
Exactly.
of that.
Exactly.
And because there's so much press around it,
Exactly.
people are going.
Exactly.
I would love to go. I personally can't really afford to go to Michelin star restaurants
Right.
right now
we can.
while
if we
saving
really
for a
tried.
wedding.
Right,
Sorry.
right.
Sorry.
For sure, of course.
But I think you're right. He is a genius, but at the same time, there are these big high rollers, these big spenders who they have this expectation of what EMP was before, and now it's different. And
Yeah, like I personally think the first 6 months are the people that want to experience this crazy
Right.
transition. But I'm waiting for that time where people are like, I'm not going there because they don't serve me the duck that they used to serve.
Right.
But
of
what
course.
about, like, when I go to a restaurant, I don't want to make decisions, right? I want to put it in the chef's hands. If I'm going to a Michelin star restaurant, I want
Right.
it to be up to the chef.
Yeah, I
Right.
hate when there's a menu. I honestly do.
So if
Okay.
I'm
Oh, okay. I know you.
No, I'm listening. I'm
no,
listening.
but I'm entrusting that EMP is going to give me a great service,
Okay.
right? And I haven't been, so I hope
Yes.
that that's what's happening,
Right. I agree.
regardless meat or no meat.
Right.
I hope it's just amazing.
Unforgettable. And they do things, you know, whether it's, you know, the way that they create cards for you or make you feel special, like how the experience goes, you know, they make their effort in order to make you feel important. Kitchen tours, whatever the case is. For me, it's just not what I would want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love vegan food. You know, I support vegan food because I'm trying to eat healthy. I just, you know, for me personally, I just might not see the full value in it because I've worked there and I understand it and things like that. But I support what he's doing, and I appreciate what he's doing. And it's all about supply and demand, right? It goes back to being a business. You're making money and you're creating interest around what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, people are now interested more into what he's doing. People are coming to his restaurant now. And also people in that high epsilon money, they care about their health. They care about what they're eating, and they're mostly vegans.
I know he does the running
He
every
run,
day.
yeah.
with a group
It's
of people,
as long
but,
as listen. It doesn't have to be something I like or do like. What it is as long as it's authentic,
Yeah.
you know. And if it goes into what his lifestyle is, and he's doing it from an authentic place, then I respect that.
And that's true. I mean, when I ate at Blue Hill, which was probably the menu was 85% vegetarian.
Yeah.
I think it was one of my favorite meals I ever had, and
That's
I
amazing.
left the restaurant feeling great. And the next day I felt great.
That's
When I
amazing.
ate at another restaurant like Alenia, the next day I felt like I had the flu. Or
Right.
eating at Danielle, you're so uncomfortable.
Right.
And so I think that there's definitely a benefit to this, and I would love. I mean, there's so many people who have to, in their jobs, they have to go out to eat every night. They have to entertain every night. So for them to entertain at a restaurant that's serving vegetables and vegetarian, it's better for them.
Exactly.
So it's not a bad thing.
For me, the reason why I started eating healthy and trying to push this whole health thing is because I started getting into my entrepreneur side, right? And I started to understand that I want to be here for a long time. And also, I need energy to build this company and build this restaurant that I'm trying to do. And when you eat full meals and animal products and things like that, you feel very, very tired at the end of it. However, if you eat light, 6 meals a day, 4 meals a day, whatever, and you're eating lighter and you're eating more vegetables, whatever the case is, you have more energy.
Yeah.
And you're able to put that energy back into your company and back into whatever you're doing. When I started eating vegan food, I was like, wow, I feel amazing after.
So I have a question because I know that when you were telling me your menu for like a pop-up that you were doing.
Yeah.
Like there was like 2 or 3 things where there was like seafood inside.
I love seafood.
Yes, I know you love seafood.
100%.
So going with the healthy side, there's also the sustainability side, and I know
Yes.
seafood's not full on sustainable with
Right.
the way you're
Right.
way we're fishing and everything.
I understand.
So how are you going to make it different with your restaurant?
Right. So with my
Because
restaurant,
I know you are sustainable, and you talked
Right.
about that before.
So we believe and know we're promised that Mother Nature's the true artist. And when we say that, we mean that we cook in the season, you know, and we're only using products that are in the season, are plentiful in the season. Not only is it cheaper, right, but it's also more delicious. So we're only cooking using watermelon, for example, during the summertime. We're only cooking.
Oh, you're not making,
No,
watermelon soup in the winter? Why not?
No, of course not. We're only using collard greens during the winter. We're only cooking sweet potatoes during the winter. For each season, whatever's at peak, that's what we're utilizing. You know what I mean?
Here in
New York,
Yeah.
in New York, we're utilizing what's around us, what's plentiful, you know, and what's in the season and what's delicious. And then we build our menu off of that. And whenever you're building any successful business, it's all about storytelling. So going back to Danny Hume, he's telling a story about vegan and how it's important to him and sustainability is important to him. You know, when we're cooking food at No Promise, we're building a story around each dish and what we're trying to accomplish, which is we're trying to make food accessible to everybody.
So
Good
what
food.
is your like main dish that you think you're always going to have all the time?
So-
and like what is the story behind that?
Of course. So a signature at No Promise is actually called a dish called Mother Bell, which
Mother
is
Bell.
yeah. So those of you that don't know, Mother Bell is my great grandmother. She's 97 years old, still living, which is amazing,
So crazy.
Wow.
and which is awesome. And she used to make a couple of things growing up, right? So one thing that she used to make was Southern snow cream. So for people that don't know what that is,
I don't know what that is.
right,
Yeah,
no
I'm
problem.
gonna
So in the
see
South,
it.
so what it is in the South is we like to preserve a lot of things, right? We make pickles out of everything. We jar, we can things, whatever we can. We make it stretch, right? That's what we do in our culture. So whenever it snowed, and it didn't snow that often, whenever it snowed in the summertime or whenever, we collected all that snow and we turned that into an ice cream. And that ice cream was called Southern Snow Cream, and she would have it year long around. So I serve Southern Snow Cream as a signature at my restaurant. Now, as well, that goes along with that is her recipe for candied peanuts, which she always did, and also her recipe for a mayonnaise cake. And you heard it right, a mayonnaise cake. So what she
What's the
Like what? Because I know a
people
cake
like mayonnaise.
will like use oil
I love
and
mayonnaise.
eggs.
I love mayonnaise. You know, a lot of people don't like mayonnaise.
Cake, I never heard
But
of
so
this, actually.
okay, so when I was working at Maria, a guy Max, really great guy, he used to put mayonnaise in his meatballs, and I was like, what are you doing? And he said
Good binder.
it's a great binder and it keeps everything moist. Most moist meatballs I've ever had.
That's why we put it in our crab cakes in Maryland.
Exactly. I love crab cakes from Maryland. I love the crabs from Maryland. Blue crabs, Old Bay all day. So when my great grandmother have a handwritten recipe which I bring to every event, I have it framed and I show it to every single guest.
Oh, that's so nice.
And she uses mayonnaise instead of butter, along with egg yolks, to create this creamy, moist batter. And we bake that, and it creates an amazing, moist, delicious batter cake. And that's what I serve at every dinner. I have that either as
What
a pre-course.
kind? Like, what's the flavor? It's vanilla.
So
it's
vanilla,
chocolate. It's
right?
What?
So it's vanilla and it's raisins. So what she does is she hydrates
Vanilla
them.
and raisins.
Yeah. So what she does is she hydrates the raisins and
What is she hydrated in? Water?
just water,
Okay.
water. And what that does is all that flavor from the raisins is in that liqueur, right? And we add that to the batter along with vanilla, mayonnaise, egg yolks, baking soda instead of baking powder, flour, cake flour, whatever the case is. Mix that all together, and now you have a mayonnaise cake. And it gets served. So in her original recipe, she serves it with peanuts. Mm-hmm. But what I did was I candied the peanuts using her recipe, and I serve it on the side. Because of allergies, because of allergies and things like that. So you'll get
That makes sense.
So when I was eating the Southern Snow Cream growing up, it would taste like vanilla ice cream but really icy, right? Because it's snow, right? So it tasted like, imagine like an old kind of ice cream, but still really tasty. So when I serve it, I serve the ice cream with granita, and then also the mayonnaise cake, and then also candied peanuts. And everything just works. The different textures, the different flavors, everything just works, and people really enjoy it.
Oh, that's nice. I like
Wow.
that.
It's so great that you're so inspired by your family, because I think that people get stuck so much in like what they've learned at these fine dining restaurants. We've talked about this before in other episodes, where it's almost like once you work at Danielle, or once you work at EMP, or once you work at Per Se, you're stuck. You're brainwashed, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so
you know exactly what we're talking
it's
about.
so important. It's so nice to have like those roots and to never forget that, and where you came from, and what you loved personally growing up, and also knowing the difference of, did you love it because of like this memorabilia that you have, or do you love it because it's really fucking
Because it's
good?
delicious. And the thing is, for me, I think grandmas are the OG chefs. I think grandmas are like these chefs. Nonas, I mean, they're the people. They're the people. They're the people. They're the people that have the recipe, that made their own recipes.
Where's your Nona right now?
My Nona, my grandma's at my house right now as we speak. I mean, she's from North Carolina. My grandfather is Jamaican, right? So I grew up on a lot of Southern food, but then I also grew up on a lot of Caribbean food. And I just take stories. Like when people ask me what kind of cuisine do I cook, I'm just cooking memories.
Yeah.
I cook memories from what I grew up on, whether that's curry goat, whether that's a dish that I got inspired from when I was in Europe, whether it's a dish that I got inspired from while I was cooking Italian food in Maria. It's
I feel like
all
you
around.
got like a really good range of what jobs you've worked at. Like you were never
Right.
like in one area for too long where like that's all you got.
And that's,
you know what I mean?
And that's very important, because what you see is with a lot of chefs, in my opinion, is that people are kind of one
we know exactly what you're
dimensional.
feeling. Yeah.
You know, they only cook. Let's say they've only worked in French food. They only cook in French food. You know, but for me, when I met Omar, which is why it was so important, he taught me the importance of storytelling. You know, which goes back to any successful business. You have to understand why you're cooking the food that you're cooking, and why it's important to you.
So how are you going to present your food at your place? Because, like, I know there's always a story behind it, and I know there's always front of the house that tells you, like, why the chef came up with this. Are you going to do the same exact thing that they're doing, like, when it comes to telling a story, or you're just going to let the menu just represent itself?
So at Noble Promise, what we're doing is we're focusing on the 5 senses. So does it look beautiful? Does it taste delicious? And what are you hearing when you enjoy this food? And what are you smelling?
Open kitchen concept?
So open kitchen, but we also have a venting system that we're working on right now as we speak. We have a venting system that we're working on basically in our stock room, in our breads room. Whenever we're cooking these amazing fresh things, we're actually putting that into whenever a guest walks in. So as soon as they walk in, it smells like a grandmother's house. It smells like that, the spices that you're toasting. And you're already starting to think about the food. When you get there, what are you listening to? Do you hear
Beethoven.
nostalgic? Do
No,
you
I'm
still
just
hear?
kidding.
Do you hear nostalgic music? Do you hear that music that's authentic and close to me? Or do you just hear background songs?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we think about the entire experience, and that's how we present it differently. It's beautiful food. It's tasty and delicious food.
What is the volume of music?
But it's
like, I am very picky with my volume
so
of music.
we do two different things at Noble Promise. We have a medium music, right, for our entire guests while they're doing. But then we also do tableside service, which comes out with like a boombox or a speaker, and we also pair our dishes with certain musics. So I'll give you an example. What we do, one of our courses is a brown sugar dessert. And when you enjoy the brown sugar dessert, a guest come out and we'll have the speaker, and you're able to listen to Brown Sugar by D'Angelo, the song, give me some of that brown sugar. And you're able to listen to that, and you're able to enjoy the full experience. And for me, music is so important because it ties everyone together, you know?
This reminds me a lot. I have a friend in DC who does dinners, and he does dinners based off albums.
Amazing.
So it's really, really cool. Like, he did an Outcast dinner, and
oh wow,
Yeah, so
like,
cool.
It's so cool because we talk a lot about menus, and he always asks me for inspiration, and I share whatever I think with him. But his dinners are basically every different course is a different
That's
song,
awesome.
or
Yeah.
like a different album or something. And so it's really interesting because you're like fully immersed, because some people don't understand food, but they do
Right.
understand music. So
Exactly.
it's a way
Exactly.
to bring his culture into introducing them into the food that he does and the food that he understands.
And that's what our goal is at Noble Promise. We're trying to include everybody. You know, not only am I, doing music, but I'm also a brand ambassador for Peace and Parmesan. You know, so when I first walked there, you guys were like, "Oh my God, that's an amazing shirt." You haven't tasted my food. You might not even know me from a hole in the wall.
Yeah.
But the first thing that you might notice is what's on my shirt. And now we're creating a conversation, and now we're trying to bridge that gap. So whether it's music that everybody loves and enjoys, whether it's a t-shirt that everybody can wear, or whether it's delicious food that people might not understand or people might not know of, we're trying to bridge that gap for everyone and create food that's accessible to everybody.
So you have a lot of drive and ambition, and it's really it's great. I feel like a lot of times we speak with chefs and they're burned out, or they're tired, or they're changing careers, or there's so much so many different things. But what is your biggest drive? Like, what's your biggest motivation right now? Because it seems like you have so many that I just want to focus. Like, what do you want to share the most with people that drives you and motivates you?
So for me, what motivates me is my family, first and foremost. Just trying to take care of my mom. You know, my dad just recently passed. Just understanding his values that he instilled in me, understanding my grandfather, who's an immigrant. And when you're an immigrant, you have different values than an American. You know, he would
100%.
he would
Literally
eat
100%.
he would eat food, right? And he would save the meat for the last portion of his meal. He would drink his beverage at the end after his meal is finished, because that's where he comes from. That's how they were able to do it. He would save all his money. Just a lot of immigrant values that he taught me. You know, my grandmother, she worked as a social worker for over 30 years, helping kids and things like that. So she just instilled a lot of values. My mother, she was a police officer. You know, and she's
both of your parents were police officers.
Both of my parents were police officers, so that was very difficult growing up. Yes, it was a lot of rules, a lot of no sneaking,
not even rules, laws.
No,
that you were not allowed to break. I broke so many laws.
No sneaking in girls in my house.
Bad teenager, yeah.
I wish no sneaking in girls, no going out to parties like that. If we went out anywhere, you know, my parents made sure that they knew the other parents. It was a lot of laws, and it was a lot, but it helped me discipline me and help me be able to survive 11 Madison Park, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
Because of all these rules and things like that. It helped me be able to upkeep myself and have respect towards people. And, you know, my dad, for example, he never called my mom out of her name. He always instilled, had a lot of values on how he treated women, you know. So that's why I never would call a woman out of her name, or I treat women with the utmost respect. I'm going. That's a positive thing. That's a positive thing. So, you know, I mean, just my family is my biggest motivation. My family is my biggest drive, and just trying to return all of the hard work and all the doors that they were able to open for me back to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what drives me the most. You know, my grandfather the other day said, I was speaking to him about my restaurant. He's like, you know, I want to go to your restaurant before I die. You know, he's 80 something years old. You know what I mean? And at that age, all you're thinking about is, you know, every day. You're taking it day by day. You're relaxing, you're chilling, you know what I mean? Seeing your friends, whatever makes you happy. But when he said that, I was like, okay, I have goals. I have a mission. I need to make sure this restaurant opens up so he can come in to eat, you know? Yeah. And just little things like that. My family. Short answer is my family, for sure.
That's really good. I don't think I could say the same thing, but maybe... I think maybe once it hits a point where, like, I look at my family for, like, the most motivation. But, like, I think it's beautiful that you're saying that, especially everything you've been going through, even the past month.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, of course.
You literally, like, you're just, right away, you're like, nah, family. Like, which I think most businesses are ran on family.
Exactly.
Literally, most successful businesses are ran on family.
Mm-hmm.
Have you always been this driven, or do you think it's more recent than...
So, I felt I always been special, but it takes time to develop, right? So when I was really bad I was fat and I was bad at sports. Terrible. And I used to join the track team, right? And the only reason I joined the track team, right, wasn't because I was ambitious. It wasn't because of anything like that.
Girl?
It was because I wanted to be my friends. You know, all the cool kids were in track. So at high school, they don't cut you. If you stop showing up, then they cut you. But as long as you show up, then you're fine. So I was terrible, worst kid on there, whatever the case is. Did it for 4 years, right? I just wanted to quote unquote be in shape, whatever. And my nickname for the team was Smithwick Damn It. So my last name is Smithwick, and the coach would call me Smithwick Damn It. And the reason why the reason why he would call me Damn It, Smithwick Damn It, is because every time that he called attendance and I was still there, not giving up, he'd be like, Smithwick Damn It, like you're still here. He used to call me herpes because he couldn't get rid of me.
Oh my God. You can't get rid of herpes. I don't know if you guys know that, but for all our young people, you can't get rid of herpes.
Yeah, you can't get rid of herpes. So he couldn't get rid of me. I would show up every day. I worked very hard, whatever the case is.
The herpes of the track to
you know what I mean? I just had, and so I say, I say that to say, you don't know what you have inside you until you do other things. So I didn't know that I was this driven, ambitious guy until I started trying new things and seeing more things, you know?
You walked into the culinary
and so
building, you're like, wait.
I'm good at this.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, wait, I can be competitive. Like, oh,
wait, it all clicks now.
It all clicks now.
Yeah,
I mean, sports wasn't my thing, but this is my thing.
Like, where I was like, oh shit, like culinary is your thing.
Right, and I didn't know that.
Weird.
It's super weird.
It does click, and you're like, oh, you found something that you could die for.
I had terrible grades through high school. I think I'm like dyslexic. I've never done well in school. I didn't go to culinary school right away. I just went to community college for like botany and biology.
Mm-hmm.
Mine too. She wasn't good at it.
While working full time in a restaurant.
Amazing.
But then once I started going to culinary school, all of a sudden straight A's, honors.
Yeah.
It's like
self-awareness.
Graduating with a 4.0. I never would have dreamed.
Like, what? Yeah. Exactly.
I also get along with culinary. I get along with everyone, but like with culinary people, like
you
guys. This is why I started the podcast. Like you guys are my vibe.
That's amazing.
You know what I mean? Like
what was weird for me? Like I didn't really get along with culinary people when I was in college. I would get along with regular people because that's all I knew.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I knew the people that were from the streets or whatever the case is. Like I was like, yo, what's up, bro? Yo, what's up? Like that's who I was cool with. I wasn't cool with the culinary kids. It wasn't
cool with
I was like, what? I don't want to see these kids. These kids are weird. Like I always want to go chill with the regular kids, you know what I mean? But then I started being a part of teams, you know, and then I started getting driven. I'm just a naturally competitive person. So these kids were better than me and I was like, I gotta be better. I thought I was the hot shit, right? I was like, I knew how to cook. And then these kids were super clean, whatever the case is. And I was like, oh, there's more to cooking than just cooking good food.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's more to cooking, being a chef, than just making good food. So there's a lot of aspects to it. And you don't learn these things about how ambitious you are or what's important to you or what drives you until you just grow as a human being and just start to go see things.
So why don't the two of you talk about how you met through Resident and what Resident is and what it means?
For sure. So I met
random. This is what's random.
No, it's random.
No,
so
it's
I know that I had met someone who then I didn't have time to work with anymore, so I introduced Dahlia, and then Dahlia
I had time
met you
through
him. So I don't know much about Resident, and I think people should hear about it and know
of
about
course.
So the first time I ever heard about Resident was when I actually did the event with you.
Yeah.
That was the first time I ever heard of it. And I was like, what is Resident? Like, what do you mean I'm working for like an actual company for like a certain amount of hours and like, and I was there to help a chef out and you were there to help a chef out.
Right.
So let's go into the day that we met. We met at a random kitchen in like a resident building.
Yes.
It was literally a resident building where there was an extra kitchen that used to be an awesome restaurant.
Yes.
And they just stopped because of the pandemic.
Yes, exactly.
I looked it up on Google.
So,
I was like, this place looks great. I'm going to go eat breakfast there.
You're going to go eat there. Right.
And then I didn't end up eating breakfast there. I ended up working in the kitchen.
So another hidden gem for everybody that's listening to bring value to you is it's about who you know.
Literally.
And the reason why I started working in 11 Madison Park was because all these people from around the world come to work in this one place, and now you know these people. You become friends with these people. So one of my friends from 11 Madison Park, Ajesh, who him and I worked, PDRs, and we worked together as partners, he was able to recommend me to Resident. So I started out Resident when it first started with Chef Omar, actually, when they first started as a sous chef. Learned more about it, went to Europe, came back, and Ajesh was able to kind of plug me in or help me get a tasting. So what Resident is to basically is we take high priced properties, right? $1 million properties, condos, whatever the case is, condos or property that's not being utilized in the market, right? And then we take that and we host our pop-up dinners for Michelin star chefs. So we're actually we use it as an incubator, if you will, to basically take this property that's not being utilized and we turn it into our restaurant concept or to our dinner. We invite people from, it's open to the public, but then we also do private dinners. And that's how I met Dahlia here. I was helping my friend. Hey. I was helping my friend Josh. He hit me up and was like, hey, can you help me? I was like, yeah, sure. Why not? For me, cooking is fun, right? So helping him, and I met Dahlia, and then we just connected immediately. And
literally, we were alone in the kitchen for like 2 hours, and we're like, so who are you?
Right, exactly. And we had a mutual friend who used to work at 11 Madison Park again, which goes back to what I was saying. It was that it's about
which
who
is
you
our
know.
last guest, Nick.
Amazing.
Or a recent guest, Nick.
Amazing. So yeah, I knew Nick.
Yeah, like
I knew Nick, and funny guy, amazing guy. I love Nick, like really, really good guy. I remember one time when we went out to eat and someone disrespected a woman, like some guy disrespected a woman in front of him, and he just wasn't having it. And that was the time when I was like, I respect this dude a lot. Like he didn't even react the way that I would think I would react. He just protected everybody. He was a really good guy and fun to
he's definitely a fighter.
Fun to be around. But like I said, I met him at 11 Madison Park. So we met all these amazing people, and that's how I met Dahlia. And we connected. She worked in the industry, I worked in the industry, and here we are now at this podcast speaking about over wine, about things, life.
Yeah.
About life, and I have a great time.
We're gonna go into Munchbox really quick because we're all starving and like, why not?
So what's Munchbox? Talk to me about this.
Munchbox is a part of the segment where we talk about the food that me or Nicole brought in, or other guests have brought in.
Is that
stuff.
mustard?
I put mustard on the plate
Wow.
because I think we need mustard with it. I already had it
Wow.
before. This is truffle
What?
chicken liver mousse pate
What?
from Trader Joe's.
What?
So with Munchbox, normally we just bring in like before we brought in chocolate, or we do all different kinds of things. So we want a review. We want something that people can talk about, something people can relate to.
So we talked about French food,
and we like reviews. We've all worked with French food.
Yeah, so
That's okay.
I want to talk to you about this because
it's interesting.
This is chicken liver pate from Trader Joe's. So this costs like max $7.
Yeah.
And honestly, I tasted it before this, and first thing in my mind is everything that's chicken liver always tastes pretty much the same. Mm-hmm. Nothing crazy, but like pretty much tastes the same.
Yeah.
Where like it has that like weird sandpaper taste. You know what I mean? But I honestly don't think it's that bad compared to like pates that I've seen people make and spend 18 hours doing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I wanted to talk about this because we all have worked at Michelin star places / this isn't from Michelin star place. Like,
no,
this
it's
is
fine.
It's fine.
So,
oh shit.
She spilled it, everyone.
I already spilled it. I'm so sorry.
She's
I'm
trying to
gonna
get the
do
mustard
it.
on it.
It was on the wine.
It's surprisingly really good.
It's not working. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Isn't it? It's from Trader Joe's.
So like people that I know, they're not eating this at their like lunch table. Like, this isn't something.
No, this is only culinarians.
Right?
This is only culinarians.
One thing that I learned was like growing up in these, French kitchens, whether it's working at Murray and they had a chicken liver mousse, right? Or working at E&P. And then when you go to Paris, this is the food that they eat on the street.
Yeah, this is like normal people food.
This is normal people food for them. And in grocery stores, you'll see pate. And for me, the way I got introduced to it was Michelin star food, baguettes and all these things. But you go to France and like, this is what they're eating all the time. So it's just, I guess, appreciate what this did. What this reminds me of is it helps appreciate my culture, because things that might be out of the box for me, whether it's curries or whatever.
It gives you a comfort that like people will enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. Because the way that we're enjoying this is not our culture, but we know about it.
Do you want to? I want to go back to like your culture. I went to Martha's Vineyard.
I love Martha's Vineyard. I did an event out there.
So I didn't know this at all. When I go out to these
a lot of black people.
These islands. When I go out to these islands, New England islands, I did not expect black culture to be there.
It's there.
No joke. I've been to
Fisher's
Fisher's Island. I've been to Block Island.
Yeah.
I've been to all these islands off of Narragansett. All these New England places.
Yeah.
And I get there and I'm like, wait,
there's black people.
Why are we going to Jamaican restaurants for dinner? You know what I mean?
What's going on? Yeah.
And I was just so shocked. First, loved it.
Yeah, of course.
And there was the agriculture fair there. The longest line and all these restaurants that were like local restaurants was the Jamaican restaurant.
Okay.
And I waited for that oxtail curry.
Mm.
I waited for almost an hour for this oxtail curry, and I was just like, it was exactly what we needed.
It was what you
It
needed.
was like we had rotisserie chicken at another food truck. We had like ice pops from like another like white woman ran place.
Right.
But like the Jamaican place
Was
was
bussin'. It was hidden.
I looked at my friend and I was like, I didn't know like Jamaicans live in Martha's Vineyard because it's such a random place to live. And they're like, no, like one of the first like properties in America that black people were allowed to own was on Martha's Vineyard, which I had no idea.
Yeah,
and
it's
that's
amazing.
when I like right away is like, this is it. Like
This is the spot.
Obama lives there full time. It's the place to be for
it's
like
fun.
anyone really. But
It's chill, laid back. It has great seafood. Amazing seafood.
like what?
it's
No
where
way.
it's
So
where
what was
rich.
your event in Martha's Vineyard like?
So it's where rich black people kind of vacation. To be honest, but you don't have to be rich. You can go there, but they have a lot of events. and
It's pretty pricey.
it's pretty pricey out there.
For
It's-
whoever you
it's
are.
pretty pricey out there, but
pricey.
it's very chill. You know, people from Charleston, people from the South, everybody kind of comes there. You know, I remember when I went out there for my event, what we did was the Historical Black Museum. We did an event out there, and we were cooking for all these African Americans. And you know, after they were speaking to us and things like that, we went to a lobster place or something. It had the best lobster. I mean, the best lobster I ever had. Right out of the bowl, like it was really good. And we saw this couple. They're like, "Hey, chef." They're like, "Hey, chef," and and what we see is they brought their own table, they brought their own seat, and they posted up
Near
outside,
the like lobster shop.
right next to the lobster shop. Because in those types of shacks, you kind of go takeout, right? You get in, go. They brought their own, and they say they do this every year. They had 2 bottles of champagne. They had the car right there. They said,
crazy.
we do this every year. This is what we do. And they're just sitting down enjoying like lobsters with champagne and like their seats, their plastic folded chairs and everything else. And that's what their date night was. That's what their anniversary was. That's what they do. And amazing seafood, very chill place, very comforting. And I think it's a cool place. If you're older, I think it's a great place to kind of go visit. If you're younger like me, I kind of like to be.
There's not much.
I like to be more, out and about and things. But if you're chilling with the family, very family oriented, very cool,
Yeah, but
awesome
I
place.
actually have brought that up to my boyfriend when we went to Maine. I was like, I love how like Maine is like progressed and like Black Lives Matter everywhere, but I don't see black people.
Right, of course.
I'm like, I love how it says that and everything, but like I don't physically see the change that they're trying to bring.
Right. It takes
So
time.
it was nice to see that in Martha's Vineyard,
Yeah,
where like there was change and it was like
it's
it was nice. It was just like a relaxing like
like whoa, yeah, it's just cool.
yeah. Because
It's
like
definitely
again,
cool.
like I am physically white, but like I
Appreciate culture.
appreciate 100% culture. I don't
sure.
believe in like, even close segregation. I don't even want to bring that up, but like, you know what I mean? Like,
Of course.
Like I never understood it as a kid.
Right,
Will
that's-
never understand it as a kid
Right,
or
right.
as an adult. Like I never will get it.
Right.
And it was nice to go to Martha's Vineyard as a vacation to see everyone vacationing there.
Yep,
Like
yep.
there was all different kinds of people there. and I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
just like,
yeah.
thank you. Like, thank you
You're like,
for
thank
a
you for-
place up in New England. 'Cause,
Right,
Like, New
you've
England
never
is
know
a
where.
huge racist area.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just insane to me that it was like there. And I was just like, thank you very much for being there.
You're like, thank you for just being diverse, and that's what we
Yeah.
need. That's what we need more of.
Literally
we need
what
more,
we need.
We need more diverse places, more diverse restaurants. We just need to just help bridge that gap between different races in
Yeah.
America, and
So
that's
I'm glad,
what we're
like,
trying to do.
Noble Price.
Noble Promise.
Noble Price.
Yes, that's what we're trying
That's
to do.
the wine speaking.
That's the wine, everyone. Everyone, that's the wine. But
Noble
yes,
Promise.
Noble Promise. That's what we're trying to do.
I'm
We're
gonna
trying-
remember that because that's what you said Sakari meant.
That's what
so.
Sakari means. Yeah, I have it tatted on me. It's what I grew up on. It's what I believe in.
Where's the
it's my,
tattoo? Am I allowed to?
It's on my.
okay.
Right here, yeah. Noble
I was gonna
Promise.
do a little flex.
Little flex. I
like-
did a flex, everyone. I did a flex. But yeah, it's what I believe
wish
in.
there was more people like you trying to open up places where like everyone should be accepted. Everyone should be there to
For sure.
follow that one passion and love. And
When I was working, so I still work with Resident. When we did a pop up at Resident, we had an African American guy come in there, and he had a tank top on. And as soon as I saw him, I was like, "This is lit."
wow.
I was like, "This is what it's about." Because
was he a guest or was he cooking?
he was a guest. He
Oh,
came
wow.
in a tank top. You know what I mean? And that's for me what it's about. Everybody's
and
welcome.
he paid the same amount.
Paid the same amount.
There, like,
you know what I mean? And everybody's talking about, yo, you see that guy with the tank top? Yeah, I see him. I'm like, and I told him as soon as I talked to him.
VIP.
As soon as I told him, I was like, man, I like you, man, because you came in here with a tank top. He's like, yeah, man, this is just me. And that's what it's about. Everybody's welcome. There is no dress code.
I like
Whether
that
you're
a lot.
white, black, brown, yellow, I don't care. You're welcome into my home. And that's what we're trying to do at No Promise. We're trying to welcome you into our home. So whether it's smelling, hearing, sounds, whatever, it's we're welcoming you into our home, and we want you to feel welcomed.
Yeah, I really appreciate that.
Wow.
Yeah. Nicole's like, I want to eat there now.
That's what it's about.
Oh, well, thank you, Sakari. I really I feel like there's a need for more people like you. 'Cause,
thank you.
you know that though. Like,
No,
you worked in the industry. Like, there isn't a place where all places are
yeah,
everyone's welcome, or even that feeling of everyone's welcome.
Right.
Obviously, everyone that I've worked at has never been oblivious with what's going on in the world, but they're also don't care about what's going on in the world.
When I ate at Per Se, I love Per Se, but when I ate at Per Se, they make you wear a jacket. And it just made me feel uncomfortable. Do I know how to dress? Of course. Do I know I know how to you know what I mean? But I'm just coming I literally came from Maria out of work, and I went to Maria because I went to Per Se because I wanted good food. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to have a good meal. And I went there and they're like, yeah, we have a jacket that you could wear, and I just felt uncomfortable. It was great food.
Wearing their jacket.
Yeah,
and,
I was
even the rule being there.
Yeah. It just wasn't for me.
Yeah, and you don't have time to go home and change, but you still want to have the same
you still
experience.
Exactly.
What about the chefs who've been working 12 hours? They started at 6 in the morning and now it's 6 at night because they worked a lunch shift, and then they try to go to a restaurant, but they don't have time to go all the way an hour home back to a restaurant by 7 o'clock. Why are we judging people for that?
Exactly. That's why we try to welcome everybody, and everybody's welcome. So,
So no dress code at Noble Promise.
No dress code. Everybody's welcome. You know what I mean? We'll have seats at, no reservation seats at the bar. So if you just want to walk in, if there's a space at the bar.
I like no reservation.
You know what I mean?
That's needed.
We have reservations, of course, which is very important because we need to know the allergies. We need to know all these things. But, we have limited seating for walk-ins. So that gives everybody a fair chance.
And when are we expecting you to start putting out your restaurant, location-wise, all of that?
Right. So right now we have a roadmap of 24 months. So we're still working on investment decks. We're still working on more investors. We're still working on construction. I have an architect that I'm in contact with from day to day. There's still a lot of planning, a lot of working that needs to go into it. But I love the process.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying the process of it. And for me, it's about owning your own, right? And it's about, instead of working for somebody else, it's about owning your own. So one of the things that I wanted to speak about on here was, one way that we're crowdfunding is through NFTs. So for people that don't know what an NFT is an NFT is a non-fungible token. And we're dropping a collection about 12 to 24 months from now, before the opening of the restaurant. And what we're doing, basically what NFTs are digital assets. And we're dropping our own NFTs of all of the recipes that we're using, of all of the dishes that we're using. We have a 90s themed digital collection that we're also dropping. And then we also have Black culture paint that we're dropping as well. And we're creating this paintings.
Oh, paintings.
Okay, so we have an artist, an amazing talented artist named Kelsey, who, he's creating Black moments and doing hand painted drawings and things like that. And we are auctioning off all of these items. And that's going to be reinvested back into Noble Promise. And it's basically the modern version of crowdfunding. Instead of having a GoFundMe account, we're providing value to people that believe in us and believe in what we're doing. Mm-hmm. And we are giving them an option to invest in us, right? So they're able to own a digital asset of Noble Promise, which gives them access to VIP, which gives them access to certain menus, which gives them access to, different things along that line. And we will be gifting them, whether it's them owning a painting, whether it's them owning a recipe that we later incorporate, and they can get royalties for every time we use it in a book. There's a lot of ways with NFTs and this new technology that's coming out that we can provide value to our guests and to the end consumer. And that's what we're just trying to do. We're trying to provide value for the end consumer.
All right. Well, I like that.
NFTs, yes. If you don't know about it, you should Google it. It's an amazing.
Google it, bitches.
You should Google it. It's an amazing revolution that's happening right now. It's giving all artists of any type an ability to to monetize.
I feel like I've heard of it before.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, and it's very new. I'm talking about things right now very new, and you know, I want to say it on here to be able to look back and look back on it 10 years from now, to be able to be like, okay, we spoke about this and now it's happening.
Yeah.
Because it's very, very new. You know, I'll speak about one investment I made. I bought an NFT for about $1,500, and I believed in the project, believed in the person behind it, and right now it's valued at about $60,000.
That's amazing.
Wow.
And you know,
What was the timeline for this?
3 months.
Wow, that's
And
insane.
it's insane. And I'm not selling. I'm holding for a very long
No,
time.
good. You should.
Right?
Yeah.
But but I say this just to teach people that are listening right now. It's about investing, in my opinion. You know, you can have a job for whatever the case is from day to day, but it's about owning your own, which I'm talking about, right? But it's also about reinvesting whatever income you do have, getting out of debt, right? Whether it's college debt, whatever the case is, getting out of debt and reinvesting, and whether that's in yourself, right? By learning a new thing, you don't need any money to reinvest in yourself, you know, or spending money on items that you can use.
Yeah.
You know, I bought my own laptop, I bought my own camera, I record all my own things, I learned how to edit.
Well, I'm glad you're telling like the early culinarians what's going on, because like
Exactly.
honestly, like we didn't know shit.
Exactly. And that's
Right? Like,
yeah,
we,
we didn't
like,
know anything.
You know, invest in $100 knife. That's what they told you to do. And
Right,
then like
exactly.
you would go in and your knife's not even sharp compared to like, you know, the guy
Exactly.
that has his knife for like the past 10 years
There-
and it was $50.
There's so many talented chefs out there, you know, and for me, I just never envisioned, I never wanted to keep working for a chef. I wanted to learn from a chef, but I didn't want to work for somebody for the rest of my life. And that was the difference between me and the next person. So I realized that and said, okay, I'm going to invest in myself with my company. I own Noble Promise. I own the trademark. Anybody that needs to use it, they have to go through me. I own the name. I own my own domain on the internet. You know, these things that we need to know in order to create
And
wealth
a lot of
for
people
everyone.
don't know that.
And they don't know that. And
They don't.
it's the most important thing when you're
There was
talking about
only,
any
like,
industry.
Recently, where like Nicole worked with a chef, where they were like, "These are my recipes. Like, this is it. You're not allowed to use it anymore."
Right.
We're like, we've used Toll House cookies recipe for like the past like 15 years, and we don't mind selling it as like the Toll House cookie,
Right.
though it's really like not.
Yeah,
good.
everything I develop now is like full NDA. Everything is.
That's amazing.
I'm not even allowed to talk about what I really do.
That's very cool. That's very
No,
cool.
but it's crazy because like before then, chefs would just go on and make their own restaurant with
Yeah.
their own recipes, quotation
Right.
marks around it. We're like, bitch, we know
I've-
that's not your recipe.
I've
Like,
met-
we know that that's the chef that
Right.
you used to work for.
I've met very different chefs and very different perspectives on this. I've met some chefs that love to share the recipes. They want the cook to learn. So they're like, yo,
Yeah.
here's the recipes, have all the recipes, you know? And then there's other chefs that's saying like, I'm not telling you what's going in here. You're not
Yeah.
going to know what's going in here. And I don't like that. For me, I like to share everything.
Yeah.
Because for
Will
me,
there be an NDA for your recipes though?
no. What I'm doing is I'm NFTing my recipes as well.
Oh, okay.
So that way it gives ownership to somebody else. For me, I want to put that out there. I want the next person to use my great grandmother's recipe. I
Yeah,
want the next person,
that's nice.
because we're
want it to
spreading the
live.
culture. I want it to
Yeah.
live. I want it to live on to the next person. I don't want to hide anything. For me, the way I look at it is that people that hide their recipes or all these things, I just feel like it might be right or wrong, but I just feel like they're maybe not fully confident in what it's about is about the person that's making it.
Yeah.
You know, you could have the full recipe and it could still come out garbage sometimes.
true.
You know what I mean? It's about the person that's cooking it. And I'm trying to spread the love. I'm trying to spread the culture. So everybody can have my recipes. If you want to know how I make something, for sure you can learn how to make it, because it makes me happy knowing that you're making it at home and you're passing it on to the next person, next person, next person. And if I give it to you, I think that you'll feel good about mentioning where it's from. Hey, this is Chef Sakari's recipe for here, and we're sharing it. And now you're not just affecting a small group of people, you're affecting everybody in the world. So I say free content. I say share everything. I say spread love, be kind, and just teach people, learn from people, be humble.
So where can people find you now?
On me, you can find me on Sakari Smithwick, my first name, last name. So that's
He has a lot of followers, by the way. You have a lot of followers.
No, I have a long way to go. But,
no, it's
S-
way more than we do.
Sakari Smithwick, Smithwick.
We'll add it on our show notes.
On Instagram, for sure. On Instagram. And then Noble Promise. So you could just Google Noble Promise. You can Instagram _ Noble Promise. We have a website as well, and then on YouTube we also have a Noble Promise on YouTube.
What do you do on YouTube? You post
So
videos
I do-
of you cooking?
Yes, I post video, but I do a little bit of everything. Where we're creating a platform for the next generation as well. That's why it's so important to grow your brand
So
awareness.
it's not just a restaurant
So,
that you're doing.
No,
it's more than that.
It's more than that. It's not about me. It's about everybody else. So we're on YouTube. You know, you'll have videos of me cooking, but then you'll also have videos of me going out to eat at these Michelin star restaurants, enjoying the food, to show people that aren't able to go to these restaurants what the experience is like. And then you also have videos of other people at community events or other people showcasing, giving everybody a chance.
Yeah.
So it's very diverse. We're still growing it, still working on it, but we're trying to create our own platform, because going back to what I was saying was we need to own our own stuff. We need to own our own stuff. So we need to have our own we're not waiting for Food and Wine to come see us. We're not waiting for Bon Appetit to come and see us. We're not waiting for the James Beard Foundation to come and reach out to us. We're creating our own right now. And when it happens, it happens. But in the meantime, we're creating our own, and we are doing what we want to do. And at that way, we have our own creative control. The same way that you guys have your own creative control with podcasts, and you can say whatever you want, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
It's
Which I
the
wouldn't
same.
say everything we want to say, but
Not
like
everything, but
we do say it. We do say
you
we know that there's a lot of wrong in the industry, and we want to change that.
And you wanna
that's
change
why
it.
we want to talk about it.
and that's amazing.
And that's why, we brought you on here, and
And
you,
I appreciate
right away
it.
you're just like, yeah, there's shit in this industry we need to change, which
We need to talk
I've
about,
always been about. We've always talked about it since day one.
For sure.
It's slowly changing, but it is
Patience.
changing.
Yeah, it is changing.
It
takes
is changing.
time.
I wouldn't, I'm not happy about how slow it's taking for
Right,
it
right,
to
right.
be,
You gotta be patient.
progressed in the
Right.
world. I don't even think it's progression. It's more just being a fucking human being.
100%,
Like, you know
yeah.
how to be nice, then be nice. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
Right.
so
I
I don't
agree.
know. That's how I feel about what's going, all the negativity in the culinary world.
It takes time.
I know it takes time. It's just
You
like
know.
I'm impatient, and I'm like, it should have never taken time. It should have never been an issue to begin with.
It's the life we live,
Yeah.
Slavery should have never been a thing, racism should never have been a thing, but at the end of the day, you gotta look at what reality is, and then you just gotta come up with solutions instead of problems.
Yeah, and if you are somebody out there that appreciates other cultures, be an ally. Just be there.
Yeah.
Help
yeah.
out everyone as
Taste
much
their
as you
food.
can. Yeah, like,
taste their food.
Taste it, be a part of it, ask
Yeah.
questions.
Ask questions. That's how you learn.
like,
Yeah.
Know that there is a difference, and like that, like you just need to be there to support.
Yeah.
Literally, it's all support, and
Yeah.
really, we just want to say thank you so much.
I want to say thank you guys for having me on.
Aw, thank
quiche,
you.
Quiche my ass.
Kish my ass. Yes.
No, for real. Thank you guys so much. It's been an honor. I really appreciate being on here.
Aw, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I mean,
It's my pleasure.
Like, seriously, this was a
Yeah.
great conversation. It's what we've always wanted to talk about, and I'm glad we talked about it without even organically talking about it. Not even
Authentic.
realizing we were talking about it.
Authentic, yes.
Yeah.
Authentic,
Real conversation.
authentic
We're
conversation.
going back to, like, pre-COVID, where, like, people actually had conversations.
Right. So I appreciate being on here, and thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you. And honestly, we know you're going to do great, so we don't need to, like, wish you luck. Like,
Appreciate
we
it.
already feel it in the
We
air.
appreciate it.
So.
Appreciate it.
yeah, we'll be the first reservations that you
Yeah,
have. So
that'd
just
be
let us
fun.
know.
Love
We'll
it.
be there.
Love to hear
Yeah,
it.
And we're buying shirts. Don't
Family
worry.
and
The
friends.
Parmesan shirt.
Peace and Parmesan. Everybody go to peaceandparmesan.com. Get your shirts. Everybody needs a shirt.
Oh,
everybody
we're gonna put
everybody
that
needs
all
to.
in the show notes.
Yes,
Don't worry.
everybody needs a shirt. We're thinking peaceful. We're thinking sharp of the mind, like Parmesan is classified as. And we are spreading the wealth and spreading the knowledge. So go to peaceandparmesan.com.
Thank you, Sakari, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
You will, for sure. Yeah, you will.
All right.
sure.
Well, have a good one, everyone. Don't forget to follow us on Quiche My Ass Pod on Instagram, or just type in Quiche My Ass on YouTube. Love you all. See you next week.
Peace.
Bye.